Wizards, getting a 5-year contract worth a reported $35 million. The Wizards went big so they wouldn't have to compete with other teams, looking for the services of Brooks, who won 338 games in 7 seasons with the Thunder, including a trip to the NBA Finals in 2012 with his star, Kevin Durant, who happens to be a free agent this summer. And he's a D.C. native. The Wiz would love to sign him. In the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, first team to make it to the second round, your Tampa Bay Lightning. They shut out the Red Wings 1-0 to win that series. 4-1. Alex Killorn, the hero again, his second game-winning goal in the series, coming with 1:43 left in regulation. Ben Bishop, 34 saves for his 4th career postseason shutout. Tampa Bay will get the winner of the Panthers-Islanders series, but that one's 2-2, so that's going to take at least another few days to sort out. Penguins go up 3-1 on the Rangers with a 5-0 whitewash at Madison Square Garden. 2 goals and 2 assists for Evgeny Malkin. Rookie Matt Murray made 31 stops for his first shutout. Game 5 Saturday in Pittsburgh. Out west, the Ducks down the Predators 4-1 to even up that series at 2-2. 30 saves for Frederik Andersen. Road teams won every game in the series so far. They head back to Anaheim tomorrow. Maybe that's good news for Nashville. And the Blackhawks stave off elimination with a 4-3 double overtime win over the Blues in St. Louis. They still lead 3-2 in that series. Patrick Kane picked a really good time for his first goal of these playoffs. Game 6 in Chicago tomorrow. Tonight, Flyers and Capitals in Washington with D.C. going for the clincher. Wild and the Stars in Dallas, the home team going for the clincher there as well. Also tonight, Islanders, Panthers, and the Sharks at the Kings. That's Friday Sports. I'm Robert Workman.
Have a nice weekend. 6 now before the hour. Next, a tip of the beret to Prince Rogers Nelson. We're back after these messages.
Grow the business.
Keep costs down.
It's not easy being a small or mid-sized business these days.
Compete with the big guys.
But automating and streamlining your workforce management can be. With Kronos, you can easily integrate HR, payroll, timekeeping, absence management. There's nothing to install, no upgrade costs, no long-term commitment, just enterprise-class power at an affordable price. Learn more about getting a competitive edge for your business at Kronos.com. Kronos, workforce innovation that works.
Welcome to Staples.
Hey, Staples guy, I'm opening a business next door.
Well, welcome to the neighborhood. You know, Staples can print custom signs and banners to help get the word out.
Great, but I gotta watch every dime.
We have low prices every day. And with Staples Price Match Guarantee, you can always get the lowest price.
Perfect.
So when's the grand opening?
Yesterday.
I had no idea.
Neither did anyone else.
Trust Staples for low prices every day. Staples, make more happen.
Price match good at checkout for items from retailers operating online in retail stores or products sold and shipped by Amazon. See store at staples.com for details.
iFIBER Communications, the fastest internet provider in Washington State, has just opened their doors here in Mason County and got their first local customers signed up. James, tell me about your experience.
From the first time I learned of iFIBER to the day I got hooked up, even now, I felt that my fiber connection and the service given to me have been the #1 most important job to every member of the iFIBER team. And not just because I was first in line with my nose pressed up to the glass waiting for a company to take my money.
What differences have you noticed?
I get what I pay for. With non-fiber solutions, you're paying up to the top and never get a constant number anywhere near that top. With fiber, you certainly do. With iFIBER, you get it at a competitive and affordable price.
Why should others sign up for iFIBER Internet?
Well, iFIBER has made a commitment to Mason County. They're working hard to bring fast speeds to everyone at an affordable price. And now with phones and television, your bill will be all in one place with no hidden fees or sudden price changes to surprise you month to month like other all-in-one service providers.
Get signed up for iFIBER Communications today by calling 360-427-4000 or visit iFiber.tv for more information.
70. Neil Wilson has a look at some of the music and moments Prince brought us.
The world has lost an icon.
Prince has died at the age of 57 years old.
Prince released his debut album, For You, in 1978, followed by an album every year thereafter, which spawned several hits. In 1982, the world would change forever with the groundbreaking album, 1999.
Prince came along and kind of legalized funk as you can dance to it.
Arguably his most influential album, 1999 was laced with synth and drum machine heavy arrangements that influenced mid-80s R&B and pop. Prince's 1984 album Purple Rain sold more than 13 million copies in the US and spent 24 consecutive weeks at #1 on the Billboard 200 chart. The film of the same name was his acting debut and won an Academy Award, all while spawning one of the most unforgettable soundtracks of all time. The 90s marked a transition for the artist, debuting a new band, the New Power Generation, releasing various albums, including the album generally referred to as the Love Symbol album, where the world saw Prince become referred to as the artist formerly known as Prince.
So how did the artist formerly known as come about?
That came up through mainly the media's problem with not having a pronunciation for the symbol. So they had to come up with something, I guess.
As the new millennium hit, Prince ceased using the Love Symbol moniker and returned to using Prince.
Baby, I'm just like my father, too.
Creating your own universe is the key to it, I believe.
Prince sold over 100 million records worldwide, making him one of the best-selling artists of all time. He won 7 Grammy Awards, a Golden Globe, and an Academy Award. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2004, and is ranked at number 27 on the Rolling Stone 100 Greatest Artists of All Time.
Everybody's talented at something. That's what makes the world go round. We all need each other.
Today, we remember the legendary recording artist, Prince.
America in the Morning for Friday, April 22nd, produced by Tom Dulac, senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout on Westwood One News.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Tobert, your advertising consultant from iFIBER ONE Newsradio. Are you missing customers because you only market to a specific group? iFIBER ONE Newsradio can help you hit a larger group of buyers with our diverse audience. We are 24 hours of local and national breaking news, award-winning talk radio, and primetime sports, including local high school sports. What does this mean to you? This means our listeners listen longer to entire programs and don't switch to another station when a commercial comes on. Our coverage in the Puget Sound area hits over 500,000 listeners, including Mason County, Thurston County, Grace Harbor County, King, Pierce, Joint Base Lewis McChord, and Kitsap County to the Bremerton Naval Base. All advertising is 100% tax deductible. So how can you afford not to advertise? Call me, Mark Tobert, at iFIBER ONE Newsradio to become a total audience plan advertiser. Just call 360-426-1030.
Dave Ramsey helps you handle your money. Weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER ONE Newsradio. AM 1030, FM 103.3, KMAS Shelton.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Karen Chase. Thousands of fans poured into the streets outside the Minneapolis nightclub featured in Purple Rain to sing and dance to Prince music after learning of his sudden death. The cause is unknown, and ABC's Jason Nathanson tells us police are investigating.
We're told an autopsy is scheduled for today, but it could be a while before we get results. Authorities in Minneapolis are investigating Prince's death, as they would for any seemingly healthy 57-year-old who died suddenly. What they do know at this point is that apparently nothing suspicious happened. This was not a crime or a suicide. We were told last week Prince was battling the flu. He saw a doctor Wednesday. Was his death related to that or something else being kept under wraps right now? Answers should come in the coming days and weeks. Jason Nathanson, ABC News.
President Obama issued a statement calling Prince a creative icon and one of the most gifted and prolific musicians of our time. Sales of Prince music have soared since his death. The 3 top picks are Purple Rain, Little Red Corvette, and When Doves Cry. Donald Trump's new campaign manager says he gets it, and the Republican presidential candidate is undergoing an image makeover to soften it up. He also says Trump will start working with the Republican establishment. Meanwhile, ABC's Jonathan Karl tells us he's looking ahead to next week's Northeast primaries.
This is territory that has been solidly pro-Trump in the Republican primaries. Trump has had his best performances, his 2 best states so far, in fact, were New York and Massachusetts. So similar profile in the states ahead, a chance for him to really add to his delegate lead. But he needs to get huge victories going forward if he's going to have any chance of getting the delegates he needs to clinch before the convention.
The Brussels subway station that was the site of a deadly bombing is due to reopen Monday, featuring a new wall of memory dedicated to the victims. China is moving ahead with plans to land a rover on Mars by 2020. First, they wanted to orbit the red planet. This is ABC News.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a select quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-613-4810. That's 1-800-613-4810. 1-800-613-4810. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health issuing company and other factors not available in all states.
Despite a flood of tips from the public, no arrests have been made in this week's killing of a fitness instructor in suburban Dallas. ABC's Jim Ryan tells us investigators suspect she was bludgeoned to death.
Questions remain about the motive behind Missy Beaver's murder. Did she walk in on a burglary at the church where she was about to lead a fitness class, or did someone specifically single her out? Beaver's husband, Brandon.
In strictly my opinion, I don't think she was targeted.
He's appealing to the public to study surveillance video posted on YouTube for clues about the mysterious person in the police tactical gear. That man or woman is thought to be the killer. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Imagine powering a plane with your brain. It's already happening in Florida, where organizers held the first drone race involving a brain-controlled interface. More than a dozen pilots wearing black electroencephalogram headsets that measure brain waves fixed their gaze on a screen and trained their thoughts on moving the cubes. That sent the drones buzzing through the air on a 10-yard dash. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The Thurston County mother whose 18-month-old son died in a fire has been sentenced to a year behind bars. Lawyers in the case had recommended that Ashley Conroy, who pled guilty to second-degree criminal mistreatment, get 7 months, but the judge disagreed and issued the longer sentence. The November 3rd, 2014 fire on Steamboat Island Road started in the bedroom of the toddler that was being heated by an electric grill, which had started 2 smaller fires in the past month. Fire investigators found that the electric grill, with the grill portion removed, was less than a foot away from the boy's bed, and that the room was dirty and filled with clothes, garbage, and car parts. 35th District state lawmakers talked about the past legislative session during a breakfast this week. State Senator Tim Sheldon and Representatives Dan Griffey and Drew McEwen shared their thoughts on the successes during the session. Sheldon, who in December becomes the state's longest-serving lawmaker with 20 years as senator and 7 years in the House, says the biggest accomplishment was the state legislature passing a budget that was sustainable for 4 years. Representative Griffey, the 35th District's first-term lawmaker and a firefighter for 20 years, said he fought to pass legislation to protect seniors from abuse. Representative Drew McEwen said lawmakers still have to deal with the McCleary court decision requiring the legislature to meet its constitutional duty to adequately fund the state's schools. The lawmakers attended the breakfast at Alderbrook Golf and Yacht Club. Fans and musicians in the South Sound are expressing their shock over the loss of music icon Prince. He died yesterday morning at the age of 57. Medical personnel were called to his Paisley Park studios and found him unresponsive in an elevator. They performed CPR but could not revive him. The cause of death is still being investigated. An autopsy is scheduled for today. In honor of Earth Day, Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission is offering a free day at all state parks today. Visitors will not need to display a Discover Pass for day use visits to state parks. Lisa Lance, stewardship manager for Washington State Parks, says they invite everyone to come and visit a park and enjoy nature at some of its finest. The free days are in keeping with legislation that created the Discover Pass. The pass costs $30 for an annual pass or $10 for a one-day permit and is required for vehicle access to state recreation lands managed by Washington State Parks, the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, and the Department of Natural Resources. The next free day after today is May 8th, followed by June 4th, June 11th, August 25th, September 24th, and November 11th. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
It's a new look to the Seattle Mariners. From the GM down, things have changed. One thing that hasn't changed is that we at iFIBER One News Radio are still your only southbound home for the Seattle Mariners. The Mariners are brought to you in part by Desco AV, Arch Mechanical Services, the all-new Gillis Auto Center, and The Roof Doctor.
This is Doug Sample from Whitney Chevrolet. Taxes are on everyone's mind. Make the most of your tax refund at Whitney Chevrolet in Montesano, where the sales tax is lower than most places in the state. Plus, other dealers' factory costs are more because they roll in the cost of the advertising. We don't do that, but we do offer lifetime oil changes on every new and used vehicle. Stop by or visit WhitneyChev.com.
A $150 negotiable document fee may be added to the price of all vehicles.
Worth the drive to Whitney's, just down the road to Whitney's.
Now from the all-new Gillis Auto Center Sports Desk, here's Sean Wells.
Alex Ramundo had a hat trick for Shelton as the High Climbers took care of Lincoln on the pitch, 4-1. It was the second win in a row for Shelton, who will look to keep things rolling when they travel to Foss on Tuesday. You can catch video highlights of the big win on iFiber1newsradio.com this afternoon. The Imps picked up their second win in a row in dramatic fashion, knocking off the Cleveland Indians 10-7 in extra innings. Robinson Cano played the role of hero for the Mariners, crushing a 3-run home run over the center field fence in the top of the 10th.
The pitch to Cano, he swings and smacks it out to center field. Nate Quinn racing back. He's out of the warning track. He's at the wall, and it's gone into the bushes. A 3-run homer for Robinson Cano. He absolutely pummeled that pitch from out into straightaway center field with 2 outs, a mammoth 3-run homer, and the Mariners have taken a 10-7 lead here in the top of the 10th inning.
The win puts Seattle at 7-8 on the season. The Mariners will look for their third win in a row when they face the Angels tonight in Anaheim. Pre-game is live on iFiber One News Radio at 6 p.m. First pitch set for 7:05. For iFiber One News Radio, I'm Sean Wells.
After 6, I'm Carol Gardner, and it's a rainy start to this morning. Showers are going to break up around noon, and we'll get a sun break, but back to rain this afternoon. Highs are going to be cool in the low to mid 60s, and tomorrow morning we'll start out a little bit dry with some rain and wind increasing throughout the day. Sunday, more cool weather and showers. It's going to be cool, only reaching the mid 50s, and right now it's 54.
Now, from the iFiber One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here. iFiber One News Radio, 6:11 with Jeff and Carol. Morning to you, Carol.
Good morning, Jeff.
It's really a little bit of a rainy start to the morning here.
Yes, it is.
We've got great guests here on Daybreak this morning, and plenty of them. My goodness, kicking it off in just half an hour or so. Thurston County Commissioner Bud Blake scheduled to come on the air with us. 7:15, Jerry Apple and Rachel will be in to talk about a Domino's takeover for the SAD Club here in Shelton. 7:45, an interview we had with U.S. Congressman in Washington's 6th District, Derek Kilmer. At 8:15, Kevin Schmelzlin stops by to talk about this weekend's Shelton to the Top cleanup and riveting radio real estate with Don Pinnell at 8:45. Additionally, throughout the morning, after we covered the latest in the local news that has been happening during the overnight, ABC has presented and put forth to us a hour-long retrospective of Prince, who we found out passed away yesterday. It's all over the news and has been over the last 24 hours. And so we'll play those segments not in order or not right after another, but when we have time to play them, we'll pop them on and talks about his life and history. I was watching a bunch of retrospectives last night, and I have been very pro Prince on the air over the last couple years. The 2004 Super Bowl performance, probably the best halftime show in the history. Carol texted me last night. You said you remember I mean, you saw Purple Rain in the theater, right? Where were you?
I was in Denver, Colorado in 1984.
So that was the
a long time ago.
Summer of '84.
When it came out.
And so why did that pop into your brain like that?
Well, because we were all talking about, I mean, obviously Prince is on everybody's mind, and Purple Rain was a big, huge thing that was new and different. And
totally different.
I just remembered, I mean, you know, Prince has been a part of our lives for a long time.
Sure. Yeah, very sad. I was misting up a little watching some of those retrospects last night. We'll be back with more news from the Northwest right here on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is John Greenhut, the CEO of Power Swabs. And if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-928-7113. That's 1-800-928-7113. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends, family, and coworkers talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-928-7113. That's 1-800-928-7113.
It's that time of year again for Seattle Mariners baseball, and iFIBER ONE News Radio is the only station to carry the Mariners in the South Sound. Be part of the team and advertise your business on iFIBER ONE News Radio's coverage of the Mariners broadcast every day this season. Summertime in the Northwest means people traveling to enjoy outdoor activities and listening to the Mariners while camping, fishing, and boating. And the only place to listen to the Mariners around Puget Sound is on iFIBER ONE News Radio. Your business should be part of the Mariners broadcast each day to hit one of the biggest listening audiences in radio. Choose from packages that get you on every game or every inning of over 150 games this season. Call the sales team at iFIBER ONE News Radio today at 360-426-1030 or email us at sales@ifiberone.com and sign up to be part of the great season of Mariners baseball.
iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
6:15, iFIBER ONE News Radio. In half an hour, Thurston County Commissioner Bud Blake is stopping by. We like talking with old Bud Blake. And this weekend, the Hood Canal Events Traveler 5K is tomorrow, and the Mason County Youth Baseball Opening Day is also tomorrow at MCRA. Procession of the Species, Arts Walk. Must be raining because it's Arts Walk.
It doesn't always rain on Arts Walk weekend, but it's usually cloudy.
It's over 50%. 6:15 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Well, Jeff, it's Earth Day.
Yes.
The largest secular event in the world. Proponents apply that descriptor to Earth Day, and they promise it will be bigger and bolder than ever before. That's the power, they say, of a contagious people's movement that returns each year. The first Earth Day on April 22nd, 1970, activated 20 million Americans from all walks of life, and it's widely credited with launching the modern environmental movement. From that event, Earth Day Network has grown to work with tens of thousands of partners in almost 200 countries to broaden, diversify, and mobilize the environmental movement. More than 1 billion people now participate in Earth Day activities each year, making it the largest civic observance in the world.
I do notice, though, they don't say how many Americans participate in Earth Day. They say Earth worldwide.
Yeah, more than 1 billion people. I think a lot of people do. I mean, there's a lot of Earth Day stuff that happens. Some United Way, I believe Earth Day stuff is happening. You can go out and plant a tree and all the sorts of things. And there's the free parks, and there's a coastal cleanup happening tomorrow.
Speaking of planting a tree, actually, next Friday is Arbor Day. Steve Goins from the city is going to be on next Thursday for Focus on Shelton to talk about that.
And I just real quick, I did a retweet of a Happy Earth Day, and then there was a hashtag Earth Day 2016, and then hashtag Earth Day is every day.
Well, Earth Day is every day. Authorities say 2 pedestrians have been hospitalized after being struck by a car in Olympia. The Times of Seattle reports the city's police say in a post on Twitter that one victim has been transported to a Seattle hospital with life-threatening injuries following the Thursday night crash. The other is in critical condition. Identities of those have not yet been released, and the case remains under investigation.
Authorities say a woman and her 2 children were rescued from the second floor of a burning home in Lacey. The Olympian reports authorities responded to a fire call Wednesday night and found 3 people trapped in a bedroom on the second floor. Lacey Fire Department said there was a fire between them and the home's exit, and authorities say a Thurston County Sheriff's deputy caught one of the children who jumped out of the window. The other 2 were rescued by firefighters on a ladder. Officials say the family was taken to a hospital for treatment and that one of the children suffered a knee injury, and the cause of the fire is under investigation.
6:18 at iFIBER One News Radio. When we come back, we'll get ready for Mary Lynn Foster's news, talk about what is in that. Also, the first segment of ABC's Prince retrospective here, Death of a Legend, will be on the air just after this.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
During Countdown to Earth Day, the Lucky Eagle Casino reminds you that our biggest concern when caring for our Earth is that we put it back the way we found it. The Lucky Eagle Casino says we should all remember to leave the land as good as or better than we found it.
The following message is brought to you by Whitney's Chevrolet. Do you remember when the conservation clubs warned us we were wasting the land? Now we've learned the hard way. They were right. During Countdown to Earth Day, Whitney's Chevrolet reminds you that it's not too late to get involved.
Aloha! This month at the Lucky Dog Casino, your chance to win a trip for 2 to Hawaii. Saturday night the 16th and the 30th, 5 winners per hour win $50 in Lucky Bucks. 4 finalists will draw for a trip for 2 to Hawaii. And while we're on the subject, every Friday, sample the chef's Hawaiian food special at the North Fork Grill. Prime rib Saturdays and steak and shrimp scampi being served on Sundays. Minutes north of Shelton on Highway 101, the Lucky Dog Casino.
iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It is 6:20 here at iFIBER One News Radio. We were here working after the show got done yesterday. We started seeing tricklings in on the internets. The first thing I told Carol is go to TMZ. They got the news. They know what's going on. Sure enough.
Unfortunately, they were correct.
They were correct this time. It is 6:20 at iFIBER One News Radio.
He bridged generations. He spanned genres. But his name was singular.
My name is Prince, and I am funky. My name is Prince, the one and only.
Prince, fitting, given how he ruled the music world as singer, songwriter, producer, showman, an unrivaled artist. His career began young, raw, and dirty. He became an MTV star. The semi-autobiographical Purple Rain vaulted Prince to international stardom. The soundtrack sold 25 million copies.
Purple rain, purple rain.
Prince was an innovator. No album was the same. He was an icon whose name became an icon.
I will now go back to using my name instead of the symbol I adopted as a means to free myself from all undesirable relationships.
Prince Rogers Nelson died this morning at Paisley Park, his legendary recording studio, residence, and performance base in suburban Minneapolis. He was 57. This is Prince, Death of a Legend. Prince was discovered unresponsive this morning in the elevator of Paisley Park Studios outside Minneapolis. Deputies from the Carver County Sheriff's Department and medical personnel tried to revive him without success. Prince was pronounced dead at 10:07 a.m. Central Time. The medical examiner's office is still investigating the circumstances, but police at the moment do not believe his death to be suspicious. We're told there was no obvious sign of a crime, and the death does not appear to be a suicide. President Obama said today the world lost a creative icon. Few artists, the president said, have influenced the sound and trajectory of popular music more distinctly or touched quite so many people with their talent. Good to have you with us. I'm Aaron Katursky, and we're gathering tonight to remember this pioneering music legend who went too soon. He was still making music and touring and writing. His death stunned. Tearful fans have congregated outside Paisley Park, and ABC's Ryan Burrow is among them. Ryan, good evening.
Good evening. And yes, Aaron, you get to learn here in Minneapolis and the Minnesota area in general that, you know, what Prince meant to this community. He was still doing performances, even up to the week of his death. And the people here really respected him. They loved him. If you flip on any radio station here in the Minneapolis area right now, it doesn't matter if it's a hip-hop station, a rock station, an AM talk station. It's a Prince station tonight. Everyone calling in, with various stories to tell, tributes, many of them crying, just stunned, absolutely stunned, Aaron, that this could happen. A lot of people gathering right now outside the studio, as you mentioned, people hanging Purple Hearts on the fence outside of the studio where Prince was found dead earlier today. And it's been kind of an interesting day weather-wise, too. We've had an interesting mix of a little bit of sunshine and a little bit of rain. Call it ironic, call it symbolism, call it whatever you will, but it's definitely been an interesting and event-filled day here in Minneapolis.
Perhaps a fitting tribute even in the weather. ABC's Ryan Burrow in Minneapolis, or outside Minneapolis at Paisley Park. The biggest names in music were just as shocked as Prince's fans who are gathering where Ryan is. Aretha Franklin spoke to ABC's Tom Yamas.
What do you think it was about his music or his style that really made him transcend both race and the music he was performing?
I think it was just his originality that transcended and went straight across the board. Just one of those things. He was his own artist, and many other artists looked up to him as a musician and singer and writer as well, and producer.
I know you know this. Songwriting is so difficult, and so few can do it so well. And yet Prince wrote hit after hit, and he wrote so many songs still that have not been released. What does it tell you as an artist about Prince that he could write and produce so much music?
Just that he was a natural. It was innate. And he was one of those, the kind of artist that kind of lived in the studio. You know what I'm saying? He loved music, and he loved it so much that he was in the studio almost, 24/7.
Are there any Prince songs that when you listen to, they just make you want to dance?
Well, anytime he got to the beat, you wanted to get up and move. But I especially like Little Red Corvette. I love that one.
Aretha Franklin's favorite Prince tune. Before the end of her conversation with ABC News, Tom Yamas asked her what made today so sad.
I walked out of the hotel, and the bellman asked me, had I heard about Prince? I said, heard about Prince. And he said, yes, Prince passed today. And it was just a blow, a real blow. What a terrible thing to hear today. He's gone, but his music will live on forever.
Aretha Franklin remembering Prince, as so many are tonight, including those who worked on his unique creative process. Here's ABC's Linda Lopez.
Thanks, Aaron. Owen Husney is a musician, artist manager, and concert promoter, and he was Prince's first manager, and he joins us now. Owen, thanks so much for joining us. My first question, what were your thoughts today when you first heard that Prince had passed away?
Well, the same as my thoughts are now. I'm shocked and devastated. I got a call from a Minneapolis television station at about 7:30 this morning, and they said, do I have any response to the fact that they had found the body at Paisley Park? And I said, well, it's obviously somebody fell off the scaffolding, or something happened.
Sure.
You don't need to call me. And they said, well, we're hearing reports that it's Prince. And I just broke out into tears. I still cannot even compute this yet.
What was he like in those early days?
Brilliant. Not only brilliant, but he was driven and focused. He was not fooling around. I never, during the time that I saw him, maybe a sip of wine, no drugs, no alcohol. He was purely focused on his craft and what he wanted to do. And what I noticed about him was a high, very, very high IQ. It's off the scale. I know that Prince has things in his vault at Paisley Park that will be released for years to come, and that we will be unpacking and seeing things musically that he has done for another generation at least.
Do you know if he might have been seriously ill lately?
I had heard rumors, and I know that this thing happened on the plane last week coming back from Georgia, and I knew that he was talking about doing a memoir, which has been announced, and that he had hired someone at Paisley Park to begin to turn it into a tourist attraction like Graceland. I talked to a couple of the band members last week, and I said, this doesn't add up, because memoirs and Graceland are posthumous kinds of things that are done. They're not things you do. And I had heard some rumors, and I am not going to talk about them because I have no idea what's factual and what's not. I'm sure it's going to come out. Maybe, maybe not, but it's sad. What difference does it make now when we've lost somebody who was an American icon? And I don't even like the word icon. Just somebody who gave it 190,000% of themselves to make people happy.
Owen Husney, thank you so much for joining us. Aaron?
ABC's Linda Lopez with Owen Husney, one of Prince's first managers. We're joined here this evening by Vibe senior editor Keith Murphy. And Keith, how are you remembering Prince?
As a musical giant, as someone that defied his critics, defied his peers, and defied reason. Some of the things that he did, you look back on and say, you got to be kidding me.
We're going to take a look at some of those things as we go on through the night with Keith. We'll have our entertainment editor, Andrea Dresdale, with us all night, and much more to come about how Prince influenced music well beyond his own albums. Stay with us. I'm Aaron Katersky. You're listening to live coverage, Prince, Death of a Legend, from ABC News.
6:30 now, iFIBER ONE News Radio, and just amazing to hear the influence that he has put forth on the world. And the world mourns this morning. It's purple everywhere. Yep. TMZ, the logo there is in purple today. And we'll continue to cover this and have more news and information from his life here on iFIBER ONE throughout the morning. Marilyn Foster, News is Now, ABC Sports, Sean Wells' reports, and Thurston County Commissioner Bud Blake still on the way this half hour. It's all right here on Daybreak on iFIBER ONE.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The Thurston County mother whose 18-month-old son died in a fire has been sentenced to a year behind bars. Lawyers in the case had recommended that Ashley Conroy, who pled guilty to second-degree criminal mistreatment, get 7 months, but the judge disagreed and issued the longer sentence. The November 3rd, 2014 fire on Steamboat Island Road started in the bedroom of the toddler that was being heated by an electric grill, which had started 2 smaller fires in the past month. Fire investigators found that the electric grill, with the grill portion removed, was less than a foot away from the boy's bed, and that the room was dirty and filled with clothes, garbage, and car parts. 35th District state lawmakers talked about the past legislative session during a breakfast this week. State Senator Tim Sheldon and Representatives Dan Griffey and Drew McEwen shared their thoughts on the successes during the session. Sheldon, who in December becomes the state's longest-serving lawmaker with 20 years as senator and 7 years in the House, says the biggest accomplishment was the state legislature passing a budget that was sustainable for 4 years. Representative Griffey, the 35th District's first-term lawmaker and a firefighter for 20 years, said he fought to pass legislation to protect seniors from abuse. Representative Drew McEwen said lawmakers still have to deal with the McCleary court decision requiring the legislature to meet its constitutional duty to adequately fund the state's schools. The lawmakers attended the breakfast at Alderbrook Golf and Yacht Club. Fans and musicians in the South Sound are expressing their shock over the loss of music icon Prince. He died yesterday morning at the age of 57. Medical personnel were called to his Paisley Park studios and found him unresponsive in an elevator. They performed CPR but could not revive him. The cause of death is still being investigated. An autopsy is scheduled for today. In honor of Earth Day, Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission is offering a free day at all state parks today. Visitors will not need to display a Discover Pass for day use visits to state parks. Lisa Lance, stewardship manager for Washington State Parks, says they invite everyone to come and visit a park and enjoy nature at some of its finest. The free days are in keeping with legislation that created the Discover Pass. The pass costs $30 for an annual pass or $10 for a one-day permit and is required for vehicle access to state recreation lands managed by Washington State Parks, the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, and the Department of Natural Resources. The next free day after today is May 8th, followed by June 4th, June 11th, August 25th, September 24th, and November 11th. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Gillis Auto Center in Shelton. Best deals, best price, best trade, and low payments. Truck Month continues at family-owned Gillis Auto Center with our entire truck inventory discounted for this event. Dodge Ram, built Ram tough with huge rebates and a great selection. Get 0% interest OAC or up to an $8,000 rebate on the Dodge Ram Bighorn Crew Cab. Just go to Gillis, the all-new Gillis Auto Center in Shelton, City Center Matlock exit, and 24/7 at GillisAutoCenter.com.
Let's take advantage of the Warriors without their MVP. Hi, everybody. Todd Ant reporting on sports. Cubs ace Jake Arrieta tossed the first no-hitter of the season last night and the second of his career.
This should do it. Jason Hayward makes a catch. It's a no-hitter. Jake Arrieta has done it again.
On Comcast Sports Network, Arrieta struck out 6 with 4 walks and says he didn't have his best stuff.
The timing was off. From start to finish, I was just able to lock it in, pile up some outs pretty quickly.
Chris Bryant had 4 hits, 6 RBIs, 4 runs, and a grand slam. Cubs win 16-0 in Cincinnati. NBA playoffs, no Curry, no win.
Into the paint, the step-back jumper for the lead. He got it.
On KBME, James Harden knocked down the short J with 2.7 seconds left. The inbound pass went out of bounds off Draymond Green's foot. The Rockets beat the Warriors 97-96. Steph Curry sat out with a sore ankle. Golden State up 2-1. Kevin Durant shook off a terrible shooting night in Game 2 with 34 points in Game 3.
Durant pulls up, arches an angle of 21-foot jumper. It goes, and one coming.
On WWLS, Thunder 131, Mavericks 102 in Dallas, and OKC takes a 2-1 series lead. Raptors rip the Pacers 101-85 in Indianapolis. To the NHL playoffs, the first team to advance to the next round.
Centers it! Score! Pull on! 1-0 Lightning!
On WFLA, Tampa Bay eliminates Detroit with a 1-0 win, and the Lightning are off to the second round. The Blackhawks are alive and well for now.
He moves toward the net and shoots! Oh, it rolls just like that. Rebound, score! Patrick Kane with a wraparound goal in overtime. And the Hawks beat the Blues in double overtime, 4-3.
On WGN in Chicago avoids elimination. Blues are up 3-2. Penguins shut down the Rangers 5-0 in New York to take a 3-1 lead. Game 5 in Pittsburgh Saturday. Ducks beat the Predators 4-1 in Nashville to even that series at 2 games each. Todd Ant, ABC Sports.
This Monday, you've got a chance to win tickets to the Mariners during Daybreak. Get clues during the Monday Morning Sports Report, and between 8:15 and 8:30, listen for the Mariners theme music, and you could be a winner. First caller with the right answer to 360-462-1041 wins a pair of tickets to the May 14th game against the Los Angeles Angels. Only one winner per household per season. For complete rules, check iFIBER1newsradio.com. It's Mariners Monday on Daybreak.
Now from the all-new Gillis Auto Center Sports Desk, here's Sean Wells.
Alex Ramundo had a hat trick for Shelton as the High Climbers took care of Lincoln on the pitch, 4-1. It was the second win in a row for Shelton, who will look to keep things rolling when they travel to Foss on Tuesday. You can catch video highlights of the big win on iFIBER1newsradio.com this afternoon. The Imps picked up their second win in a row in dramatic fashion, knocking off the Cleveland Indians 10-7 in extra innings. Robinson Cano played the role of hero for the Mariners, crushing a 3-run home run over the center field fence in the top of the 10th.
The pitch to Cano, he swings and smacks it out to center field. Nate Quinn racing back. He's out of the warning track. He's at the wall, and it's gone into the bushes. A 3-run homer for Robinson Cano. He absolutely pummeled that pitch from out into straightaway center field with 2 outs, a mammoth 3-run homer, and the Mariners have taken a 10-7 lead here in the top of the 10th inning.
The win puts Seattle at 7-8 on the season. The Mariners will look for their third win in a row when they face the Angels tonight in Anaheim. Pre-game is live on iFIBER1 News Radio at 6 p.m. First pitch set for 7:05. For iFIBER1 News Radio, I'm Sean Wells.
Good morning. It's 6:40, and I'm Carol Gardner. Rain showers on and off this morning, mixed with some sun breaks later on. Highs today in the low 60s. Tomorrow morning, we'll start out dry with rain and wind increasing throughout the day, and Sunday, more cool weather and showers. Right now, it's 53.
Now, from the iFIBER1 News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
Good morning to you. It is 6:39. iFIBER1 News Radio, Friday, Earth Day. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Some great guests on the air today with us today. We're expecting Thurston County Commissioner Bud Blake in here just in a little bit. Also at 7:15, Jerry Apple and our good friend Rachel are taking over the Domino's in town for a SAD Club fundraiser. We spoke with Derek Kilmer, U.S. Congressman from the Washington 6th, and we'll have that interview for you at 7:45. 8:15, Shelton to the Top's Kevin Schmelzlin will be on the air talking about this weekend's cleanup, where it's going to be, and riveting radio real estate with Don Pinnell. Plenty of ways to connect with iFIBER1 News Radio. We're on the radio at AM 1030 and FM 103.3. Twitter, you can follow us at iFIBER1 Radio. You can get our news on Facebook by liking our page. Just search for iFIBER1 News Radio in the Facebook search bar there, top of the page. Launched the new iFIBER1 News Radio, and on the site you can comment, post, and even watch the Daybreak show. And additionally, we've got the listener line phone number, always taking calls at 462-1041.
And you can call that number on Monday when you join us for another Mariners Monday trivia contest. You can listen during the sports director's Sean Wells report. He'll be at the top and bottom of the hour, and you can get the clues you need to answer our question. Between 8:15 and 8:30 on Mondays, Mariners Mondays listens for the Mariners theme music. The first person with the right answer who can call our listener line at 360-462-1041 wins tickets. It'll be to the May 14th game against Los Angeles. That night's Root Sports Kyle Seager bobblehead night.
You want to go to this one, don't you?
I do.
You have a line in, though, on some tickets.
Possibly, yeah. I need to talk to some people.
Oh, man, because your mom likes Kyle Seager?
She does. If you're listening, Mom, yes, you do.
Yes, you do. Accepted. Called the largest secular event in the world, and proponents apply that descriptor to today, Earth Day, and they promise it will be bigger and bolder than ever before. That's the power, they say, of a contagious people's movement that returns year after year. Now, the first Earth Day was on this day in 1970, and 20 million or so Americans from all walks of life, widely credited with launching the modern environmental movement. And from that event, the Earth Day Network has grown to work with tens of thousands of partners in 192 countries to broaden, diversify, and mobilize the environmental movement. Now more than 1 billion people participate in Earth Day activities each year, making it the largest civic observance in the world. And you can head to iFIBER1newsradio.com, the new website, and learn about ways that you can get involved with Earth Day, including, Marilyn Foster was talking about it, free day today at all the state parks. And we are wrapping up National Parks Week as well. We've had some great interviews this week on the Shelton Parks, Mason County Parks, and today is Earth Day.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Top shelf, the good stuff. It's harder to reach for a reason. You don't get it for just anybody, but your baby isn't just anybody. So this month, Napa is making the good stuff a little easier to get with Castrol Edge Full Synthetic Motor Oil for just $5.79 a quart. So go ahead, treat her right, and get Castrol Edge for $5.79 a quart. She'll thank you later. That's Napa know-how. General states pricing. Sales prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. Offer expires 4/30/16.
Habitat for Humanity of Mason County invites you to shop their local retail stores in Belfair and in Shelton. At Habitat for Humanity stores, you'll find amazing bargains on discounted home improvement supplies, gently used furniture, and so much more. And when you shop Habitat for Humanity, your dollars are put to work helping to improve, build, and maintain affordable housing right here in Mason County. Habitat for Humanity. Let's build a strong community together.
We love hearing from our listeners and sharing their stories with you. Hi, I'm Jody Henke. Today we're featuring a Colorado pair whose ranching business is a bit buggy as they're living the country life.
Living the country life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic and from previous shows by visiting us online at livingthecountrylife.com. We'll return to the show after these messages.
He's done 3 tours and now he's saving his dad's farm. Do you know a farmer veteran like that? We're inviting you to share their story. Successful Farming Magazine and Grasshopper Mowers are teaming up to acknowledge and thank farmer veterans for their service. This new initiative is called From Fighter to Farmer. Enter any veteran farmers you know in our contest at agriculture.com/fighter to farmer. Explain the veteran's military experience and farming operation, along with the involvement they have in your community. 3 veterans will receive a combination prize package of $5,000 and a vacation to Nashville. One lucky winner will also receive a $10,000 gift certificate to spend at Grasshopper Mowers. No purchase necessary. Open to legal residents of the 40 contiguous United States and D.C. 13 years and older. Begins February 1st, 2016 and ends April 30th, 2016. Subject to official rules at agriculture.com/fighter to farmer rules. Void in Alaska, Hawaii, and where prohibited. Sponsored Meredith Corporation. From Fighter to Farmer is brought to you by Grasshopper Mowers. Enter any veteran farmer you know in our contest at agriculture.com/fighter to farmer.
The United States is one of the few places in the world where the thought of eating bugs makes our stomachs turn. But Taylor Ferguson and Wendy Lou McGill of Denver, Colorado are hoping to convince us that cricket cuisine and mouth-watering mealworms have a place in our diet. The two have started the state's first farm to raise insects for food. Wendy Lou says their micro livestock are housed in plastic bins inside a giant shipping container with a solar thermal heating system. The insect paddocks are kept clean and they're fed a healthy diet of grain and organic vegetable matter. She says their 150,000 insects are being grown not for bait or reptile food, but for humans to munch on.
They're a really complete food. There's always sort of a focus on the protein content, which is very good for crickets, and mealworms have a little bit less protein than crickets. But there also are just a ton of micronutrients or vitamins and minerals in both The exoskeletons actually have a lot of nutrition. For example, there's more calcium in crickets by weight than milk.
She says customers buying the crickets and mealworms are mostly chefs with an adventurous menu.
We sell wholesale to restaurants. So we have 2 restaurants currently in Denver that are buying them. One makes a cricket taco, and another is looking at making a chorizo, the Mexican sausage, out of mealworms, which is a really sort of cool way to introduce people to it without them actually having to see a mealworm.
Wendy Lou says their goal is to have a viable business and also to promote the practice of eating bugs as a way to continue feeding ourselves sustainably. We'd like to hear what makes your place special. Tell us about it at livingthecountrylife.com. I'll see you in the country.
Living the Country Life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic, share your tips, and post photos by visiting us online.
This is Steve Kramer from Kramer Tackle with this week's fishing report. Lowland Lake opener is this Saturday. So basically all the lakes in western Washington will be open to fish. Most have been stocked with good numbers of trout. And with the warm weather we've had, the bass and the bluegills are already up shallow making beds. I fished Long Lake last week. In one morning, I caught 8 bass. 3 of them were over 6 pounds. The rest were in the 2 to 4 pound class. I was throwing Cincos around the docks and white spinnerbaits. If you'd rather catch a trout, I would spend some time on Spencer Lake or Patterson Lake or Hicks Lake, and I would troll a wedding ring with the worm. If you'd rather get a kokanee, I would troll some pop gear up at Summit Lake or at Wards Lake. So if you can, please take a kid fishing and make sure you check out the recreation page at iFIBER1.com. And don't forget my site, KramerTackleandGuide.com. This has been Steve Kramer. Thanks for listening and good fishing.
iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
Hi, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here, iFIBER One News Radio, 649. Jeff and Carol. Morning, Carol.
Good morning.
Friday, Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day.
We've got the Old Farmer's Almanac coming up in a little bit. Also, a CNBC Business Radio report for you on the air. We're continuing throughout the morning to play for you the ABC feature that they have put together, the death of a legend, Prince, as we were hearing information yesterday in the morning, just after we got off the air, of his passing and unconfirmed reports. And finally, it was confirmed at 57. All throughout the day, every show I watched. And, you know, there's a lot of politics going on, but on the talking news shows, that dominated the hours.
Right.
Probably 40% to 40 minutes to 20 minutes, you know, like that. And then all the sports shows that I watch in the afternoon, they're talking about it right off the bat. And times people went and saw him or thinking, like I had thought. I had never seen him in concert, although it'd be an amazing experience. And I thought, you know, like anybody thinks, we got plenty of time.
Right.
Oh,
I know. He's only 57. He's doing so much still.
Again, like precious moments. You just don't think about it.
That is very true.
649, iFIBER One News Radio.
Authorities say 2 pedestrians have been hospitalized after being struck by a car in Olympia. The city's police say in a post on Twitter that a victim has been transported to a Seattle hospital with life-threatening injuries following the Thursday night crash. The other is in critical condition. The identities of those involved have not been released, and the case remains under investigation.
At 6:50 now, there was a rescue in Lacey after a fire. A woman and her 2 children were rescued from the second floor of a burning home in Lacey. The Olympian reports authorities responded to a fire call Wednesday night and found 3 people trapped in a bedroom on the second floor. Lacey Fire District 3 Battalion Chief Tim Hulse says there was a fire between them and the home's exit. Authorities say a Thurston County Sheriff's deputy caught one of the children who jumped out of the window. 2 others were rescued by firefighters on a ladder. Officials say the family was taken to a hospital for treatment, and then one of the children suffered a knee injury. Cause under investigation.
And 2 sea turtles that landed sickly and malnourished on shores far beyond their normal living range have been flown aboard a U.S. Coast Guard plane from Seattle to San Diego to finish rehabilitation. The olive ridley and the Pacific green turtles that left Seattle on Thursday were part of a record-setting spike of sea turtle strandings on Pacific Northwest beaches this past winter. 2 turtles were found on the shores in Oregon, Washington, and Northern California. Only 3 survived, according to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. The Pacific green turtle, however, came ashore further north on Canada's Vancouver Island. The turtles will finish their rehabilitation at SeaWorld San Diego. The plan is to release them in the summer when the waters are warmer.
Coming up, we've got some more information about the Troy Kelly case. Jury finishes their first days of deliberation. And additionally, one of the men who escaped from Western State will be moved to a federal mental facility.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
It's not Gen Xers, millennials, or even baby boomers. An update on America's fastest growing demographic today from the Old Farmer's Almanac. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac radio report for Friday, April 22nd, the 113th day of the year. Musician Peter Frampton has a birthday, and April's full pink moon shines tonight. Here's an update on America's fastest growing demographic population. The most current count of centenarians, or people over 100, now numbers over 72,000. That's an increase of more than 40% since the year 2000. When you consider that 50 was the average life expectancy only a century ago, you can see why researchers are using the term wow factor. Vaccines, antibiotics, and improved hygiene are given much of the credit. If there's a troubling note on the centenarian explosion, it's the huge gender gap. Women accounted for 80% of the group's recent growth. That's the Old Farmer's Almanac radio report. Learn more at almanac.com.
iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
Good morning to you. 6:53 here now at iFIBER ONE News Radio. The news coming up at 7 from ABC, and Marilyn Foster has more local news stories for you. Those topics include Thurston County mother whose 18-month-old son died in a fire. More information on 35th District state lawmakers who talked about the past legislative session during a breakfast this week. Washington State Parks and Rec Commission offering a free day at all state parks today, and fans and musicians, people all around the world, are expressing their shock over the loss of music icon Prince. All that news from Marilyn Foster coming up just after ABC News. A jury in Tacoma has finished its first day of deliberations in the fraud trial of Washington State Auditor Troy Kelly. Jurors had 2 questions for the judge, but didn't reach a verdict Thursday in a case described by prosecutors as a plain case of fraud and a cover-up. And by the defense, the team they think is a disaster. Kelly, the first Washington State official indicted in 35 years, accused of illegally pocketing $3 million in fees. Prosecutors say he should have refunded to homeowners when he ran a real estate services business called Post Closing Department. He operated the company during the height of the housing boom before he was elected state auditor. Defense attorneys say Kelly was entitled to keep the money. Jury expected to resume deliberations today.
A man escaped from a psychiatric hospital in Western Washington will be sent to a federal mental facility for a competency evaluation. U.S. District Court Judge Edward Shee on Thursday ordered that 28-year-old Anthony Garver be sent to Federal Bureau of Prisons facility to determine if he can understand the charges against him. The judge did not specify which facility. Garver, also known as Anthony Burke, escaped April 6th from Western State Hospital in Lakewood, Washington, where he was held after he was accused of torturing a 20-year-old woman to death in 2013. He was captured April 8th across the state in a rural part of Spokane County. Garver was ruled not competent to help with his own defense in the killing of the Snohomish County woman.
6:55 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, and plenty of big events to happen over the weekend. Tomorrow is the Traveler 5K. It's the inaugural Traveler 5K put on by Hood Canal Events. It's going to be up at the Alderbrook Golf Course around that neighborhood there. Beautiful sights to see, and it's going to be a great time before and after the run walk. You'll be able to enjoy the vistas and see the Traveler. Additionally, I'm going to see a lot of folks out at MCRA over the weekend for Youth Baseball Opening Day. I'll be out there to help move things along and announce all the kids that are part of it, and that's going to be a ton of fun. And
It will be. And there's Arts Walk starting today and lasting tomorrow. The Procession of the Species will be tomorrow, I believe, starts at 4:30 in downtown Olympia. It's a great event. Just you can get out and walk around into all the businesses that offer up artwork that people have made, just especially for this event. It's really interesting, and it's something definitely you should see.
I've had friends that on both the business owner side of Arts Walk hosting and friends showing artwork.
Yeah.
And they say it's just a great time.
It
People
is.
come in and out. There's tons of kids downtown. Downtown Olympia is not a scary place.
No, not at all.
Just go down there and
on the day of the parade, they walk around and give out chalk, and people start chalking up the streets before the parade.
I forgot about that.
Fun to do that.
Would love
Oh yeah, it's fun to do that.
6:57 at iFIBER One News Radio. Also, you can volunteer to clean up the coast here tomorrow. The information is under the all-new iFIBER1newsradio.com, and free day all day today at state parks. May be surprised. You go to your favorite park and then not realize that you need the Discover Pass. I was really surprised. I was at a park near Tumwater, and I thought for sure it was just a Tumwater City Park, but sure enough, it says
Discovery Pass required.
Yeah, Munn Lake, near Munn Lake. So make sure you are aware of that. Razor clam digs began this week, and more are proposed in May. All of that is on iFIBER1newsradio.com.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio. Stocks are mixed. The Dow's up 30 points. The Nasdaq lower by 30. Americans continue to eat up McDonald's all-day breakfasts, and that helped the hamburger chain serve up a jump in quarterly profits that handily beat expectations. Sales at U.S. restaurants open at least a year rose nearly 5.5%. Shares are higher. Alphabet is down. The parent company of Google reporting a miss on both the top and bottom lines. While the number of paid clicks rose, the cost per clicks continued to slide. Sears is closing 10 of its namesake stores and 68 Kmarts. That's about 5% of its nearly 1,700 stores around the country. The company has been dealing with declining sales, losing customers to Walmart and Home Depot. And if you've always wanted to go to Cuba, you can cruise there on Carnival's Fathom brand beginning May 1st. Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
My yard needs a ton of help. The best looking part is the garden gnome.
I told Linda she came to the right place. We have exactly what her yard needs.
Ace is the place where lawn advice is always free. And speaking of free,
right now, during our BOGO sale, when she buys one select item, she'll get another designated item free. Like buy Scott's Weed and Feed and get Scott's Lawn Food free. BOGO offer valid on select items through April 25th. See participating stores for details and limits. Store stock only. Scott's bag covers 5,000 square feet.
Napa know-how!
Wipers are like slabs of meat on the grill. Leave you either on for too long, and it always ends in disaster. Luckily, Napa now has premium Trek hybrid wiper blades for as low as $14.99 each. Plus, buy a pair and save up to 50% off by mail after rebate. A great deal on Napa Trek hybrid wipers means you can replace your old blades before they turn into a dry, cracked mess. Like last week's barbecue. That's Napa know-how. At participating Napa Auto Parts stores while supplies last. Offer expires 4/30/16.
Mornings start with Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio. Join Jeff and Carol weekdays from 6 to 9 on AM 1030 and FM 1033 KMAS Shelton.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Karen Chase. Fans are paying tribute to Prince after his sudden death at 57. ABC's Dan Harris says people danced at the Minneapolis nightclub featured in Purple Rain.
This city was ablaze overnight with a mixture of sadness and celebration. I spent some time at a massive outdoor party in downtown Minneapolis where they were blasting Prince songs to thousands of people who were singing along. And then also inside the First Avenue Club, right there in downtown Minneapolis, where they held an all-night dance party.
Another dance party broke out at New York's Apollo Theater, where the marquee is lit up with his name. ABC's Ryan Burrows says his death comes as a total shock to his fans.
Thursday will go down as a day most Prince fans will never forget, including where they were when they first heard the news. This woman slept through her boyfriend's calls.
Called me a couple times, and I didn't answer. I was sleeping, and then I woke up, and he told me.
I was at work and sitting at my desk, and I saw it come across Twitter.
My coworker's nephew emailed her.
The fence outside of the Paisley Park Studios where Prince died is now a living purple shrine to the music legend. Ryan Burrow, ABC News, Chanhassen, Minnesota.
An autopsy is planned on the pop superstar today. He was found unresponsive in an elevator at his home and had recently battled a bad case of the flu. The FBI paid more than $1 million to a mysterious third party to hack into the iPhone of one of the San Bernardino shooters. Director James Comey wouldn't set an exact figure, but did say it was more than he'll make in his entire term. Queen Elizabeth was on the helipad to welcome President Obama and First Lady Michelle when they landed in Marine One for their lunch date. 94-year-old Prince Philip took the wheel to drive them all to Windsor Castle. On this Earth Day 2016, world leaders are gathering at the UN in New York to sign a global climate agreement achieved in Paris in December. The objective is to keep the global temperature rise well below 2 degrees compared to pre-industrial times. This is ABC News.
Here's an idea. Instead of waiting for your boss to give you a raise, give yourself one. It's easier than you think. By refinancing your mortgage with Quicken Loans, you could add hundreds of dollars each month to your bottom line, like a boss. To learn how, call 800-QUICKEN or visit us at QuickenLoans.com. Again, that number is 800-QUICKEN. Quicken Loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
QL1, this is Control. Does Rocket Mortgage require me to come in and speak with someone?
Negative, Control. With Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, you can go through the entire mortgage process on your own and completely online.
Copy that, QL1. But if I wanted to speak to someone, do you think they're out there?
They're out there, all right. Their award-winning client service is beyond anything I've ever experienced.
3, 2, 1.
Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
President Obama is ruffling feathers with comments urging the UK to stay in the European Union. ABC's Tom Rivers is in London.
Passions are running high here in Britain, where polls show the country is evenly divided between staying in the European Union or exiting.
It's always very good to hear from Barack Obama. I'm a big fan of Barack Obama on any subject.
But London Mayor Boris Johnson says
it's perverse that we're being urged by the United States to embroil ourselves ever more deeply in a system where our laws, 60% of them are now emanating from the EU.
The mayor calls the president's view a breathtaking example of the principle, do as I say, not as I do. Tom Rivers, ABC News, London.
In Ohio, police are on the lookout for a thief with a blindingly white smile. It seems someone has been stealing Crest whitening strips, $2,500 worth, and has so far made a clean getaway. It may sound funny to you, but the store isn't laughing. Officials call it an unusual theft. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The Thurston County mother whose 18-month-old son died in a fire has been sentenced to a year behind bars. Lawyers in the case had recommended that Ashley Conroy, who pled guilty to second-degree criminal mistreatment, get 7 months, but the judge disagreed and issued the longer sentence. The November 3rd, 2014 fire on Steamboat Island Road started in the bedroom of the toddler that was being heated by an electric grill, which had started 2 smaller fires in the past month. Fire investigators found that the electric grill, with the grill portion removed, was less than a foot away from the boy's bed, and that the room was dirty and filled with clothes, garbage, and car parts. 35th District state lawmakers talked about the past legislative session during a breakfast this week. State Senator Tim Sheldon and Representatives Dan Griffey and Drew McEwen shared their thoughts on the successes during the session. Sheldon, who in December becomes the state's longest-serving lawmaker with 20 years as senator and 7 years in the House, says the biggest accomplishment was the state legislature passing a budget that was sustainable for 4 years. Representative Griffey, the 35th District's first-term lawmaker and a firefighter for 20 years, said he fought to pass legislation to protect seniors from abuse. Representative Drew McEwen said lawmakers still have to deal with the McCleary court decision requiring the legislature to meet its constitutional duty to adequately fund the state's schools. The lawmakers attended the breakfast at Alderbrook Golf and Yacht Club. Fans and musicians in the South Sound are expressing their shock over the loss of music icon Prince. He died yesterday morning at the age of 57. Medical personnel were called to his Paisley Park studios and found him unresponsive in an elevator. They performed CPR but could not revive him. The cause of death is still being investigated. An autopsy is scheduled for today. In honor of Earth Day, Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission is offering a free day at all state parks today. Visitors will not need to display a Discover Pass for day use visits to state parks. Lisa Lance, stewardship manager for Washington State Parks, says they invite everyone to come and visit a park and enjoy nature at some of its finest. The free days are in keeping with legislation that created the Discover Pass. The pass costs $30 for an annual pass or $10 for a one-day permit, and is required for vehicle access to state recreation lands managed by Washington State Parks, the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, and the Department of Natural Resources. The next free day after today is May 8th, followed by June 4th, June 11th, August 25th, September 24th, and November 11th. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
Join Alex Jones weeknights from 6 to 10 on iFIBER One News Radio.
Now they're moving where there's kill switches in the last 3 years on all the new phones. And these are now in the threat fusion centers. The average cops haven't been getting access to it yet, but they will. Where you hit a button and on a street level or a grid level or part of a city or a whole state, all the phones stop working entirely or the camera functions turn off. I told you about that 10 years ago. It's now in the news last year and this year because they're rolling out with it operationally at the Homeland Security level.
Ascend Roofing Company in Shelton's on top of it. 868-2730. Roofing work that speaks for itself.
Just a note to express our appreciation for restoring our faith in a handshake. You did what you said you would, and that's all anyone can expect.
We truly appreciate the work that was done. And your son Ryan is a wonderful representative of your company. Thank you again for making the gutters clean and our roof moss resistant.
You could be the next happy customer by calling Ascend Roofing. 868-2730.
Now from the all-new Gillis Auto Center Sports Desk, here's Sean Wells.
Alex Raimundo had a hat trick for Shelton as the High Climbers took care of Lincoln on the pitch, 4-1. It was the second win in a row for Shelton, who will look to keep things rolling when they travel to Foss on Tuesday. You can catch video highlights of the big win on iFiber1newsradio.com this afternoon. The Imps picked up their second win in a row in dramatic fashion, knocking off the Cleveland Indians 10-7 in extra innings. Robinson Cano played the role of hero for the Mariners, crushing a 3-run home run over the center field fence in the top of the 10th.
The pitch to Cano, he swings and smacks it out to center field. Nate Quinn racing back. He's out of the warning track. He's at the wall, and it's gone into the bushes. A 3-run homer for Robinson Cano. He absolutely pummeled that pitch from out into straightaway center field with 2 outs, a mammoth 3-run homer, and the Mariners have taken a 10-7 lead here in the top of the 10th inning.
The win puts Seattle at 7-8 on the season. The Mariners will look for their third win in a row when they face the Angels tonight in Anaheim. Pre-game is live on iFiber One News Radio at 6 p.m. First pitch set for 7:05. For iFiber One News Radio, I'm Sean Wells.
Good morning. It's 10 after 7. I'm Carol Gardner. We'll have some rain showers on and off this morning, mixed with some sun breaks. High today's in the low 60s. Tomorrow morning, we'll start out with some dry with rain and wind increasing throughout the day. And Sunday, more cool weather and showers. Right now, it's 53.
Yeah, good morning to you. 7:09. Take a quick break here. When we come back, Thurston County Commissioner Bud Blake on the air. After that, we'll talk about a Domino's takeover for the Sad Club. It's all right here on iFiber One News Radio.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFiber One News Radio.
The ocean waves roll in, hypnotic, continuous, and perched high above rests the oldest family-owned resort on Washington's coast, Ocean Crest Resort. Picturesque, friendly, comfortable. Ocean Crest has served as the perfect ocean hideaway for over 60 years. With unsurpassed ocean views, warm fireplaces, full kitchens, swimming pool, hot tub, and spa, Ocean Crest Resort offers you total and unrivaled relaxation. Frommer's Guide reports you simply won't find a more spectacular setting anywhere on the Washington coast. And Ocean Crest's enchanting restaurant is listed as one of Washington's 13 ultimate restaurants you must visit before you die. See for yourself with our special 3-for-2 package. For a limited time, stay 2 nights and get a 3rd night free. Call 800-684-8439, 800-684-8439, or visit OceanCrestResort.com. Ocean Crest Resort, making memories since 1953. In Moclips, overlooking the Pacific Ocean.
iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It's Daybreak here, iFIBER One News Radio, 7:11 on a Friday morning. Jeff and Carol, happy to be talking with Thurston County Commissioner Bud Blake. Good morning, Bud.
Hey, how you doing there?
Good to see you.
It's great to be back here in Mason County. It's be with great neighbors.
We are fortunate to have a nice standing relationship with you, coming on the air and talking about some of the things that are happening in
I'm Ken Slater,
Thurston County. And one of the things that we have been focusing on with you recently is that your efforts to get the ARC up and running. And so that seems to be running pretty good. But you open one door, you find there's two more problems behind another door.
You bet. So you're absolutely right. We did open the jail almost a year or so ago, and then now we joined together with Mason County and created the Behavioral Health Organization. So those two things are in stride and doing very well, quite honestly. And the funding's there, the resourcing there, and the staff is there. But like you said, there's always other issues to deal with. And so we're faced with the challenge of the Habitat Conservation Plan in Thurston County. And while we're trying to get that balance between people, business, and the environment, and primarily speaking about the environment now, the pocket gopher is always a daunting task. And it really has come to the point where we're going to have some tough decisions to make in terms of how to fund this and socially balance this in terms of environment and business, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. So this is the manzanita? Is that the word that I'm thinking of? Manzama pocket gopher. Yeah. And I've been hearing stories from people in different parts of Thurston County that had either home dwelling, real estate, building permits going in and then suddenly stop because of the gopher, and then commercial businesses as well. So what's the background on this?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So the Manzama pocket gopher was on the what they call endangered species list, and it was categorized as threatened. And so from that point in time on, it's become a law that you have to make the effort to protect this species. And then there's the butterfly and the frog, but they are not as quite as controversial. So we are in making efforts to do that. But when it comes to the balance of population and needs of business, it's kind of a collision that's happened between environment and those two. And so what happened is the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the federal government version of that, has come to the Thurston County Commissioners and said that the plan has not been finalized as far as the draft. That will come here in June or July timeframe. But the cost of that, in order to do it over a 30-year period, is $151 million, meaning $5 million a year for the next 30 years. And then you have to do set-aside land to make sure the gopher has the place to be able to thrive. So with that in mind, then you have to figure out a financing piece to that. And they've laid out 4 options. And so one of them is the real estate excise tax to increase that. The other one is to increase the permit fees. The other option is to increase the developer fees and or do land mitigation, or a combination of any of those. So just for land mitigation, kind of the simple way of saying it is that you have your property that you want to buy or develop, and then you have to go somewhere else and buy another piece that would allow the gopher to be able to thrive or prosper on that other piece of property. So you're buying almost 2 pieces of property, basically, in order to bring in the protection pieces there.
How big is this gopher?
Yeah.
I mean, you say pocket gopher. What does that mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the exact weight and size, but it's not very big. It's just, I'll be facetious just to say a large rat, but I don't mean that in a rude way. It's just about that size. Not a mice size, no. So, quite honestly, I haven't seen one, so I don't know. And some people have, but most people have not.
So how do you figure out a solution to not, kill off this gopher, and then also have people be able to buy land and live, and the population increasing?
Sure. Well, land mitigation is one way of doing that. But if you were to ask me, my solution is to actually go off and buy a piece of land separate than land mitigation. And let's just pick a number, say 6,000 acres, a one-time buy, and then kind of corridor that off and say this is where the gopher shall live and prosper and do the things that the gopher does. And over here on the other side of life, you let the people go forth and do this. That way you don't get into this swapping and dealing and actually causing another commodity, another market, if you will, of land. And because if you have land, then prime gopher land, then you can put that up and say, hey, I can use that as a commodity there. And then it creates this whole different kind of market and an economy that's just really not healthy for the South Sound or the Thurston Thurston County as a whole.
What is the numbers of this pocket gopher? Do they know? I mean, is it really still on? So it's still on the endangered species list
as threatened.
Okay.
But it's undetermined how many are out there and how many do we need in order to become meet the recovery numbers. It's just they will not disclose a target number. To be quite honest with you, I've asked them when I'm sitting across the table, and so it's yet to be determined, as I say.
So do they like the idea of creating a green zone for the gophers?
Yeah, they're not really. The people we're talking with is not open to that right now. No, they think that it's much better to go through the land mitigation or just finance it in one of the 3 or 4 ways that I mentioned earlier.
How are families that want to build personal homes or businesses that want to expand who are in the middle of a permitting process being impacted by this?
Yeah, they're still impacted. You're absolutely right. And so what has been the last couple of building seasons, that between you have a biologist and 2 other staff members go out to your property, and they have to visit it 3 times over a period of between June and October is the only time frame. And so if there's gopher evidence, then we'll have to either do a environmental impact piece there, or you will not be able to go forward. And if there's at the 3rd time that you're not, there's no gopher evidence, then you can go forward with the permitting process.
Okay, so there is a way through that.
Yes, but it's a short period, and those 3 inspections has to be 30 days in between. So you can't just do 1 week, next week. You have to do every 30 days.
And if they get impacted by this, they come out, they see this stuff. Is there help from the state or the federal government to offset some of these costs?
No, at this point there's not. It's all out off either the individual, the developer, or the government, the Thurston County.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is just some of the things you deal with when you're taking office. You get some success on the left-hand side, and then there's some challenges on the right-hand side. So
7:18, we're talking with Thurston County Commissioner Bud Blake, and one more topic to bring up with you is a housing update. A new advisory committee and grant structures in the works. What can you tell us about that?
Oh yeah, the housing action team is absolutely in full throttle as far as affordable housing, and we've done really great as far as we have a blue team. It's also called the new affordable construction. We have a pipeline housing map that we're going to advertise here shortly, and that allows those who have either a concept or in design to be able to have a better funding mechanism to kind of streamline and expedite some of the affordable housing pieces we want to do there in Thurston and Mason County, by the way.
Bud Blake puts out Plain Talk with Bud Blake. It's a monthly newsletter that talks about things that you're dealing with in the Thurston County Commission. You can find that by going to your Bud Blake's Thurston County Commissioner website.
Yeah, it's there.
You can search for it there. And we do enjoy having you on to talk about these things. And next time, and please keep us updated on this pocket gopher story. I do hear a lot about it.
You bet.
Thurston
It's very
County.
controversial.
So keep us updated on that. And we look forward to the next next time we have you in to talk about more partnerships between Mason and Thurston County.
Thank y'all so much.
Good to see you. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Enjoy. Oh, is this your first arts walk this weekend?
Not my first. No, I've been there many times. Yeah, but
so we'll see you down there for the procession of the species. Saturday night is something else, right?
You bet.
All right. Good to see you, bud.
Bye-bye.
7:20 now at iFIBER ONE News Radio. We'll take a break. We'll come back. The Domino's is being taken over by the Sad Club. We'll tell you about that. Up next on iFIBER ONE News Radio, it is Daybreak here on iFIBER ONE.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
I'm with Scott Alsterberg, the sales manager at the all-new Gillis Auto Center, just off the City Center Matlock exit. Is that right?
That's where we are.
And it's the all-new Gillis Auto Center, and people always know of Gillis being a Ford dealer, but you've got a lot more new vehicles than just Ford.
We sure do. We're a full-line FCA dealer. That's the new name for Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram. We carry every model from both companies.
Cars and trucks?
Everything. SUVs, vans, everything you can think of. And we have a great selection of used as well.
Tell me about a sexy Dodge vehicle that might be on the
we've
block.
got Challengers, and they're so fun to drive. It's unreal.
Can guys take a Challenger for a test drive if they want?
Yeah, you can take one home with you, too.
Well, that's a great idea. How about the Ford lineup?
You know what? We've got the best-selling truck in the world. We've got the Ford F-150. We have Super Duty 250s and 350s as well, and we have a lot of them.
It is the all-new Gillis Auto Center.
We're open from 8 to 7 Monday through Saturday and 10 to 5 on Sunday.
Check them out.
Just go to Gillis.
How can the shopper work for you?
Office supplies,
Everything for the workplace.
printing and design services,
From concept to completion, the shopper does it all.
large-scale printing,
Digital large format printing, posters, banners, and more. Also, mailing and fulfillment services and promotional items. The shopper is committed to providing products and services with the utmost in customer satisfaction. The shopper, we make good impressions.
iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. 7:23 at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Yeah, we just were mentioning that the Domino's Pizza in town's getting taken over. Taken over by the Sad Club as a fundraiser. We got Jerry Apple and some representatives from the Students Against Destructive Decisions Club here on the air with us right now. Morning, Jerry. How you doing?
Jeff, I'm doing great. Hi, Carol.
Good morning. I'm going to need you to get a little closer there on that microphone, please, Jerry.
Hello,
and then,
Jeff.
There we go. There he is. That's great.
Nice.
Good to kind of have your beautiful voice on the air with us this morning. Jerry, who have you brought in?
Well, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Josh Brulin, and a very active member of our SAD Club, and just received a nice award that he's going to be going to on May the 9th at the Educational Service District, along with Rachel.
Hey, Rachel, how you doing?
Good, how are you? And
Good.
Rachel, of course, is no stranger. No stranger to KMS.
No, for sure.
And she is our junior high representative, and her nice mom. And I could not, the Booster Club this year has been such a great help.
Oh, good.
And Cindy Brulin, Josh's mom, and Patty Darch, who's our vice president. It's just made this year a lot more fun.
Good. And it's nice to have some parental involvement for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Josh, let's see. What are we doing here? We're going to Domino's. We're taking the place over, huh?
Yeah, they're going to give us a percentage of how many pizzas bought or whatever's bought there. It doesn't matter if it's really pizza, but we get a percentage. But we're going to be holding signs uptown, downtown, everywhere around town.
I tell you what, Domino's Pizza is pretty good these days. I think, 4 years ago, something, they made a huge change. And I'm not afraid to say I enjoy Domino's Pizza on a often schedule. It's pretty good these days.
Domino's, and I have to give them a credit. Their manager, Jaron, wow, he is so proactive in the community. And, last night we had a Relay for Life meeting, which we're getting ready for our big Relay for Life event, which is coming up July the 24th and 25th. And last night we had our team captains meeting, and Domino's always is there to help us, give us, pizza and things like that. To make the committee meetings and steering committee meetings a lot better. So I really appreciate it. And I appreciate the opportunity for groups like the swimming pool, group, and for us, for Bordeaux, when they did the takeover. It's going to be a lot of fun Tuesday, standing out there holding up signs and encouraging everybody to come in. I'd like to see a line all the way down.
Oh, wouldn't that be something?
All the way down to the pine tree,
Yeah.
I'm going to let Rachel talk.
Yeah,
I
Rachel,
can talk all day.
What's the schedule like for this? It's coming up this Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
And so when can people go in and know that their monies are going to go in part to the SAD Club? So the evening time, or
3.
3 o'clock until
5, 6.
3 to 6, okay. So place your orders between 3 and 6, and the orders and the money, some percentage goes to the SAD Club. What are you guys doing with the money?
We are going to use it to go to conferences and to do other things.
Okay. Where are the conferences this year, Josh? Where are you guys want to travel to?
Well, one of them is the Great Wolf Lodge Conference that's coming up. It's called the Spring Youth Forum. That's one of the best ones that we go to, and it's really fun. Everyone here, anyways, is going. And we also go to a national conference. I think it's important this year. So
nice and close too.
It's gonna be fun.
Do you guys get to have any free time to get on the water rides there at the Great Wolf, or?
Yes, of course.
Okay, good. I want to make sure that we got our priorities straight here. We're going to have a lot of fun, but then we're going to have more fun on the water.
They promised me this year, the two teams that are going, the OBGH team and the Shell High School team, they said, yeah, we're going to have our PowerPoint presentation all rehearsed so that on Wednesday night, we could just go over it maybe once. But most of the time, we're going to spend riding on the rides or eating pizza.
Fun. Yeah. That's going to be a lot of fun. And how are things going with the SAD Club at the junior high?
Really good.
You enjoying that? So do you do a lot of speaking to the other classes about what's going on at the Students Against Destructive Decisions?
Yeah, kind of.
They ask you to come and talk?
Yeah, like the tattoo?
Yeah, like tattoo. We'll go and present on it, and then we'll talk to them about joining and stuff.
Tattoo's been around a long time. That's the Teens Against Tobacco Use?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one. Seeing lots of those numbers drop, too.
We are, Jeff, but unfortunately, we're seeing some things rise, too, like the use of e-cigarettes, and we don't know all the statistics about e-cigarettes and how harmful those ingredients are, but some of them are. They have to be.
Yeah, we just don't know.
We don't know. We don't know what's, and also we're doing a presentation on media awareness, and maybe, Rachel, you might want to mention something about that.
At Great Wolf Lodge or at the...
Yes.
Oh, yeah. At Great Wolf Lodge, we're going to be presenting on media awareness, our program, and we're going to be talking about, the effects that we have and some of the projects that we do with it around our community.
Well, that's kind of, I think you've been on to talk about that before, how advertising influences people, even the packaging at the stores and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's all good knowledge for folks to go. Whenever I learn anything like that, you go into a store the next day, it's like your eyes are opened for the first time, and you go, I see what you're doing there.
Yeah, it's all targeted towards youth. There's every day students see 3, 4, 5, 6,000 ads, whether it's on people's T-shirts or on their shoes or on the internet or whatever. And it's just amazing. You're absolutely right. It opens their eyes and makes them think before they look at that, want to buy that product.
I remember in middle school when we got there was a soda machine installed, like a Coke machine, and there was a kind of a controversy about that, as that's advertising, and these kids are not seeing it anywhere else. It's really direct, and it was just a vending machine, but still.
But Jeff, what's neat is our school districts, our health people, the health department, they're really trying to make sure that the students are eating a balanced meal, and they're trying to put things in those vending machines that are a little more healthy, and I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
I know there was a little bit of kickback from the students at first, but I think they realize what we're trying to do, to make things healthier.
So once again, the SAD Club is taking over Domino's. It's Tuesday between 3 and 6, and the Domino's is in downtown Shelton.
Right.
And so you can head there, go in, call in, carry out, deliver, whatever. All of it helps the SAD Club.
Go ahead, Patty.
Saturday, we have an event up at the high school.
Okay.
And it's at 5:30 to 8. And they're going to have a pie eating contest, cupcake walk, fishing for candy, and vendors.
Okay.
Lots of vendors.
And before that, we're doing the powerlifting meet. We're selling stuff too.
Oh, wow. So very busy this weekend at the school as well. Very good.
Yeah.
I love hearing about all this SAD Club information.
And I want to mention that, and I was at a Relay for Life meeting last night, and I said that a good percentage of our money on Tuesday, we want to put it towards Relay for Life and put it towards things that we do in the community, like, our Little Stars program, feeding students that are like at Christmas time, getting Christmas presents for needy children. There's just so many things that we can do in the community, and the money that we raise this weekend and next Tuesday can go towards that. And Rachel's right, also will help us in traveling to conferences so that we can get more ideas to bring back to the community. I just want to make a pitch too for the Booster Club, our Shelton Booster Club, and the things that they're doing. But I don't know, Pat, if you want to say anything about that, but I really appreciate that.
No, we just, more parents would be nice.
Sure. I think in any situation, especially in schools. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We're news time now for Marilyn Foster, but we have Jerry and Josh and Rachel and Patty on the air with us talking about the different takeovers that the SAD Club is involved with this weekend at the high school and Tuesday at Domino's from 3 to 6. Percentage of the proceeds go to help out the SAD Club. Good to see y'all.
Thank
Have
you.
a great weekend.
It's always a pleasure. I love coming in here.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
Okay, man.
7:33 here now at iFIBER One News Radio. Marilyn Foster's News is coming up next. It's brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The Thurston County mother whose 18-month-old son died in a fire has been sentenced to a year behind bars. Lawyers in the case had recommended that Ashley Conroy, who pled guilty to second-degree criminal mistreatment, get 7 months, but the judge disagreed and issued the longer sentence. The November 3rd, 2014 fire on Steamboat Island Road started in the bedroom of the toddler that was being heated by an electric grill, which had started 2 smaller fires in the past month. Fire investigators found that the electric grill, with the grill portion removed, was less than a foot away from the boy's bed, and that the room was dirty and filled with clothes, garbage, and car parts. 35th District state lawmakers talked about the past legislative session during a breakfast this week. State Senator Tim Sheldon and Representatives Dan Griffey and Drew McEwen shared their thoughts on the successes during the session. Sheldon, who in December becomes the state's longest-serving lawmaker with 20 years as senator and 7 years in the House, says the biggest accomplishment was the state legislature passing a budget that was sustainable for 4 years. Representative Griffey, the 35th District's first-term lawmaker and a firefighter for 20 years, said he fought to pass legislation to protect seniors from abuse. Representative Drew McEwen said lawmakers still have to deal with the McCleary court decision requiring the legislature to meet its constitutional duty to adequately fund the state's schools. The lawmakers attended the breakfast at Alderbrook Golf and Yacht Club. Fans and musicians in the South Sound are expressing their shock over the loss of music icon Prince. He died yesterday morning at the age of 57. Medical personnel were called to his Paisley Park studios and found him unresponsive in an elevator. They performed CPR but could not revive him. The cause of death is still being investigated. An autopsy is scheduled for today. In honor of Earth Day, Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission is offering a free day at all state parks today. Visitors will not need to display a Discover Pass for day use visits to state parks. Lisa Lance, stewardship manager for Washington State Parks, says they invite everyone to come and visit a park and enjoy nature at some of its finest. The free days are in keeping with legislation that created the Discover Pass. The pass costs $30 for an annual pass or $10 for a one-day permit, and is required for vehicle access to state recreation lands managed by Washington State Parks, the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, and the Department of Natural Resources. The next free day after today is May 8th, followed by June 4th, June 11th, August 25th, September 24th, and November 11th. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
Here's a way for you to green up that heating bill of yours. That is, save energy and save greenbacks. Go to archmechanical.com, learn about heat pumps and zone heating. We're talking about heating and cooling equipment and systems designed to heat or cool your home. Listen, if you don't use all the rooms in your home, why heat or cool them? Check out archmechanical.com and learn more. And green up. archmechanical.com.
Now from the all-new Gillis Auto Center Sports Desk, here's Sean Wells.
Alex Raimundo had a hat trick for Shelton as the High Climbers took care of Lincoln on the pitch 4-1. It was the second win in a row for Shelton, who will look to keep things rolling when they travel to Foss on Tuesday. You can catch video highlights of the big win on iFiber1newsradio.com this afternoon. The Imps picked up their second win in a row in dramatic fashion, knocking off the Cleveland Indians 10-7 in extra innings. Robinson Cano played the role of hero for the Mariners, crushing a 3-run home run over the center field fence in the top of the 10th.
The pitch to Cano, he swings and smacks it out to center field. Nate Quinn racing back. He's on the warning track. He's at the wall, and it's gone into the bushes. A 3-run homer for Robinson Cano. He absolutely pummeled that pitch from out into straightaway center field with 2 outs, a mammoth 3-run homer, and the Mariners have taken a 10-7 lead here in the top of the 10th inning.
The win puts Seattle at 7-8 on the season. The Mariners will look for their third win in a row when they face the Angels tonight in Anaheim. Pre-game is live on iFiber One News Radio at 6 p.m. First pitch set for 7:05. For iFiber One News Radio, I'm Sean Wells.
Good morning. I'm Carol Gardner. It's 7:40. Some rain showers on and off this morning, mixed with some sun breaks. We're going to have highs today in the low 60s. Tomorrow morning, we'll start out dry with rain and wind increasing throughout the day. Sunday, more cool weather and showers. Right now, it's 57.
Now, from the iFiber One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
Good morning to you. It is Daybreak here, iFiber One News Radio. Some great conversations there just this last half hour. It's Jeff and Carol here. Morning to you, Carol.
Good morning, Jeff.
We have continue more great guests. In a couple of moments, we'll have U.S. Congressman for Washington's 6th District, Democrat Derek Kilmer, on the air. He called us yesterday afternoon and have that interview for you. Also continuing on throughout the rest of the morning here, Kevin Schmelzlin comes in at 8:15 to talk with us about his upcoming location for the Shelton to the Top cleanup, I believe the Webb Hill area. You can find it on his Facebook page, and also we link to it on ours, iFiber One News Radio. You can search for that in your search bar. Also, Don Pinnell, Riveting Radio Real Estate at 8:45.
And there are plenty of ways to connect with us on iFIBER One News Radio. We're on the radio at AM 1030 and FM 1033. You can follow us on Twitter at iFIBER One Radio. And like Jeff said, you can get the news on Facebook by liking our page or searching for iFIBER One News Radio in the Facebook search bar at the top of the page. And we've just launched the new iFIBER1newsradio.com. On the news site, you can comment and post. And on every page between 6 and 9 a.m., the Daybreak show video pops up.
Sure does.
You don't have to do anything. It just pops up right there. You push play, and then you can see us and all our guests.
Listen, it's better than having it auto start. No, it'd be great if it auto started, but we're having difficulty trying to figure out how to not auto start with the sound on.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to go to a website and then all of a sudden a video pops up.
Right.
And then it's us yahoos jabber John about the latest and local. So.
And sometimes you go to a website, you go to another website, and you're like, where's this noise coming from?
What tab is open?
What tab is open?
That happens to me all the time, actually. I had a sound going, and the volume was really low, so it was almost like it was in my brain.
Yeah, a murmur.
And sure enough, there was a tab opening on some other browser window that wasn't even...
Yeah.
This Monday, join us for another Mariners Monday Trivia Contest here on Daybreak. During the sports reports, we will have clues that you need to answer the question. And again, between 8:15 and 8:30, listen for the Mariners theme music. Be the first person with the right answer for 360-462-1041. You'll win tickets to the May 14th game against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. That night, also, Root Sports Kyle Seager bobblehead night. We are giving away pairs of tickets. We've got 20 pairs of tickets that we're giving away. We're going to do one family 4-pack just to celebrate the 4th of July holiday, just because why not? But other than that, we have got 19 weeks of giveaways for you. One winner per household per season, and all those rules are at iFIBER1newsradio.com. We are also continuing to look back on the life of Prince, and ABC has provided some great features that we will continue to play. But coming up next, U.S. Congressman Derek Kilmer from Washington's 6th District. He'll be on the air on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
During Countdown to Earth Day, Gateway Property Management says you can get involved every day. Ask for and buy recycled, unbleached paper products at home and work. Thank you for counting down to Earth Day with Gateway Property Management.
Our community credit union says the battle for clean air, clean water, and clean land has just begun. For the battle to be won, we all need to get involved. You can help make our world a better place to live by joining the effort to conserve our natural resources. The Countdown to Earth Day is a reminder from our community credit union.
Peninsula Credit Union presents PHIL. PHIL stands for Peninsula Home Improvement Loan. Designed to help you get things done around the house, PHIL can help you a little or a lot. This is not a second mortgage. With a Peninsula Home Improvement Loan, you can get 7.24% APR on a 60-month loan or 7.49% APR for 120 months. From replacing the roof to new flooring and everything home-related in between, take advantage of a Peninsula Home Improvement Loan, and PHIL will help you get the job done. Call Peninsula Credit Union today. 800-426-1601. That's 800-426-1601. Or apply online at pcfcu.org. OAC. See representatives for details. Limited time offer. Additional terms and conditions may apply. Annual percentage rate is effective as of June 11, 2014. Loan amounts from $500 to $15,000. Terms available from 60 months up to 120 months. For payment examples, call 800-426-1601.
This is Steve Kramer from Kramer Tackle with this week's fishing report. Lowland Lake opener is this Saturday. So basically all the lakes in western Washington will be open to fish. Most have been stocked with good numbers of trout. And with the warm weather we've had, the bass and the bluegills are already up shallow making beds. I fished Long Lake last week. In one morning, I caught 8 bass. 3 of them were over 6 pounds. The rest were in the 2 to 4 pound class. I was throwing Cincos around the docks and white spinnerbaits. If you'd rather catch a trout, I would spend some time on Spencer Lake or Patterson Lake or Hicks Lake, and I would troll a wedding ring with the worm. If you rather get a kokanee, I would troll some top gear up at Summit Lake or at Wards Lake. So if you can, please take a kid fishing and make sure you check out the recreations page at iFIBER1.com. And don't forget my site, KramerTackleandGuide.com. This has been Steve Kramer. Thanks for listening and good fishing.
iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's Daybreak here on iFIBER One News Radio. And as always, monthly, we are very happy to have on the air with us Congressman Derek Kilmer from the Washington 6th District. Good morning, Derek.
Hey, great to be back with you.
Love talking with you, and you're very busy around these parts, helping out the people around these parts. Recently, got a couple things to talk about. Sure. You were at the White House with a local labor leader talking about project labor agreements. What can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, so the idea here is, we've seen, whether it be a naval-based Kitsap or Joint Base Lewis McChord or other military installations around our state, we've seen a lot of construction, and that's certainly good news in terms of modernizing the facilities that we have. But one of the things that I consistently hear from folks is that they want to make sure that that construction is happening with local workers, that skilled workers who actually live and work near a federal construction project are actually given an opportunity there. And there's a tool that's known as project labor agreements that basically enable a contract to be negotiated on the front end between project managers and the building trades to basically strengthen labor management relations and to protect the interests of local communities and of the workers. And it's been a real win. We've seen this up at Naval Base Kitsap with a very large project, and it's the first project labor agreement in the history of the Navy, and it's been a massive success. It's led to the project coming in literally $250 million under budget. And you've seen a lot less kind of drama from a labor management standpoint. You've seen a lot more involvement of local workers, and it enables you on the front end to build in things like apprenticeships and opportunities for veterans workforce, women workforce, diverse workforce, and it's been a tremendous success. And so earlier this year, and I think we talked about this, the Secretary of Labor, Tom Perez, came out to Naval Base Kitsap and saw the project, and he said, "This is awesome. We should be doing more of this." And at the end of the meeting, I said, "Well, why don't we put together a summit at the White House to convene folks from not just the labor community, but procurement officials from all the federal agencies to look at how we use this tool better?" And thankfully, the White House listened. So we had a meeting just within the last week or so at the White House. Lee Nugent, who's the head of the Building and Construction Trades Council in Washington State, came out for it. And we had an awesome dialogue really about the value of these project labor agreements and what it can mean in terms of providing opportunities for the local workforce.
So if it wasn't a local workforce, where would the workers come from?
Well, part of the problem you see is on a lot of these projects, it's national firms that are bidding on the work, and then they're bringing in workers from someplace else. So you'll see, out of Joint Base Lewis McChord or something like that, you'll see a construction project, and when you go visit the project, you'll see a lot of out-of-state license plates, and when you go and talk to the workers, a lot of them have come in from another state. And that's a missed opportunity for our local economy. Lord knows we have enough people who are looking for work, and I want to see when the federal government's investing a bunch of money in our region. It's a real win-win if that investment also involves putting local people to work.
Yeah, that really does make a lot of sense.
And again, it's also a win for taxpayers. I mean, when you look at how these project labor agreements have generally played out, because a lot of the things that often lead to drama over the course of a particularly large, complex construction project, because those issues are dealt with on the front end, it means that projects are more often coming in under budget and on time, if not ahead of time. And I think that's a real success story, and it's why we want to replicate that. We've run into, there's a few barriers that have stood in the way of that. It's a cultural thing. I think procurement officials have been doing things the way they've been doing things, and this is something new and different, and so they don't always think how do we put something together to hire local workers? How do we, set up apprentice programs to involve more military veterans and things like that? That takes work on the front end, but what we found is it means that oftentimes when you build these projects, you're not just building these projects, you're building a local economy, you're building the middle class, you're building opportunities for women in diverse communities and for veterans and for local workers. And I think that just makes a heck of a lot of sense.
Yeah, sounds like a win-win for everybody.
You bet.
This week, it was tax day on Monday, and one of the big things that we've been trying to implore our listeners to be very cautious when they're online and when they're faced with potentially clicking something they're not sure about. And ransomware is now running rampant on the internet. You're looking to get some more action on ransomware.
Yeah, I think we've seen a general increase in the amount of cyber threats just across the board, and we see that in all sorts of environments, whether it be an individual and their tax identity getting stolen, and as a consequence, their refund getting stolen. We've certainly heard, banks who have faced cyber attack, and certainly from a national security standpoint, we face that threat quite a bit in our nation. But we've seen an increasing number of these ransomware attacks where hackers are taking data, whether it be from hospitals or local governments or small businesses, and they're basically saying, we're gonna in essence lock you down. We're going to take personal information. We're going to shut down your computer network unless you give us money. And unfortunately, this has happened at hospitals and local businesses. And what it means is, and literally the FBI just in the last year received about 2,500 complaints about these attacks, and it costs millions and millions of dollars. And think about a hospital all of a sudden having their computer network locked down unless they're willing to pay a ransom, and that's not right. And it's a really awful thing that hackers are using this kind of tactic, and I think we should do more about it. And so I reached out just this last week. I wrote a letter to the Department of Homeland Security, basically asking federal agencies to work together and to develop some guidelines and assistance to anybody who's facing a ransomware attack. Because we need to develop measures that can more effectively prevent these attacks on the front end, along with helping folks after an attack takes place. And again, I want to see private records stay private. I want to make sure that if you're a hospital or a local business, you don't have some knucklehead hacker from somewhere locking down your computer network and really costing lots of money and potentially costing human life.
Is there a idea of where the bulk of these are coming from?
Well, unfortunately, all over the place. We've certainly seen foreign actors who are acting with malicious intent, and that is absolutely the case when it comes to our governmental entities and our financial institutions. You're seeing a lot of the cyber attacks coming from overseas, from China, from Russia, in particular. In terms of these ransomware attacks, you've seen some of them originate overseas. Unfortunately, you're also seeing some of them take place domestically as well.
Moving on to, we've had some pretty nice weather around these parts, and a lot of people are getting out to the oceans, and there's razor clam digs going on. You have a new report, some stuff from some scientists on ocean acidification. How are we looking with that?
Well, it's a real concern. The district I represent has 3,200 people whose livelihoods are related to the shellfish industry. We know a lot of folks who make a living with the fisheries. And just the general health of our oceans is being impacted by changing ocean chemistry. And, it makes me wish I paid more attention in high school chemistry class. But, it basically boils down to acidity in the water. As pH in the ocean goes down, acidity goes up, and more acidic water makes it harder for organisms up and down the food chain to grow, because they can't get the nutrients that they need. And that's why, last summer, for example, we saw a giant toxic algal bloom that took root out in the water and stayed there for months, and it had a negative impact. There was, fish kills and negative impact. And we just saw, just recently, there's something called the West Coast Ocean Acidification and Hypoxia Science Panel just released a report with some very stark findings. And probably the biggest was that the West Coast shellfishing industry is seeing more shellfish die before they can even form in their shells as a consequence of this ocean acidification. And so the consensus is that ocean chemistry is changing, and we got to do something about it. And so I've joined with one of my colleagues, Jamie Herrera Butler. We put forward bipartisan legislation to try to elevate this issue at the federal level, to try to see more research funding put forward on this. I'm on the Appropriations Committee, and we're working to try to secure some additional research funding on this issue of ocean acidification, because the reality is this is not a Democratic or Republican issue. This is an issue that could have real effect, not just on the health of our oceans, but on the health of our economy as well.
You're going to be holding a town hall next week, is that right?
Yeah, you bet. I periodically do these telephone town halls just to hear what's on people's mind, and I always feel like government works best when your elected officials are available and accessible and accountable to you. And we're doing it. I think it's on Wednesday night of the 27th. But if folks want to sign up for it, they can hop on my webpage, which is just kilmer.house.gov, and then there's a /contact/town hall is one way to do it. They can also email or call our office, and we'll happily sign them up for it. And then the way it works is they'll just get a phone call on Wednesday night, and I'll be on the other line.
We're talking with Derek Kilmer, congressman here in the Washington 6th District, and we do appreciate, we know you're super busy in Washington, the District of Columbia, but thank you so much for calling us, and we'll talk again with you next month.
You bet. Great to be with you.
Thanks, Derek.
All right. Take care.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
7:57 now. iFIBER ONE News Radio. Great conversation there with U.S. Representative in the 6th District of Washington, Derek Kilmer. Nice guy to talk to on the air. And monthly, we are able to do that as he's in Washington, D.C. Most of the time doing the nation's business here. Coming up, ABC News.
I'm Sherry Preston, ABC News. It's a record. 171 nations gathering at the UN to sign the Paris Climate Change Agreement on this Earth Day. We'll have the latest from the UN coming up.
Also coming up, Mary Lynn's Foster News a little bit up after 8. She has news on the Thurston County mother whose 18-month-old son died in a fire, and about 35th District state lawmakers talked about the past legislative session during a breakfast this week. And fans and musicians in the South Sound are expressing their shock over the loss of the music icon Prince. She also has news about Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission offering a free day on Earth Day.
And today is Earth Day, isn't that right?
It is Earth Day. It was started in 1970, activating about 20 million Americans from all walks of life, and widely credited with launching the modern environmental movement. And from that event, Earth Day Network has grown to tens of thousands of people and partners in over almost 200 countries to broaden, diversify, and mobilize the environmental movement. And more than 1 billion people now participate in Earth Day activities each year, making it the largest civic observance in the world.
So additionally, next Friday is Arbor Day.
Mm-hmm.
So we continue on our focus on Mother Nature and Mother Earth. And Steve Goins will be in for our Focus on Shelton segment next Thursday. We're going to talk about, Shelton, Tree City, USA, right. Arbor Day, getting out there and planting some trees. And it is Earth Day, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Another big celebration of Earth Day is the Procession of the Species in downtown Olympia tomorrow at 4:30 or so. So encourage folks to come down if they're going to be a participant or part of or just watch the activities. You want to get there. You want to get into the downtown area well before that.
Yeah, and you want to make sure that you realize you cannot drive straight down there because the streets will be closed
Yeah, you
off.
got to park It's so much easier to park away from the parade routes rather than trying to find your way into Olympia, because after the parade, everybody's in the streets for Arts Walk.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Alex Jones and InfoWars on from 6 to 9 weekdays on iFIBER One News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 103.3 KMAS Shelton.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Karen Chase. The sign at a subway station in Manhattan has been temporarily changed from Prince Station to Prince Rest in Peace. Just one of the tributes pouring in from around the world to the late superstar, who died suddenly at his Minneapolis home. He was 57. Fans are fondly remembering the singer as a revolutionary artist and a sweet soul, including his former fiancée and protege, Sheila E.
It's unreal. It's surreal. I miss him dearly. It's very devastating.
The investigation into his death is continuing. The cause of death is unknown, and an autopsy is being performed at this hour. Prince was found unresponsive in an elevator at his home, and ABC's Jason Nathanson says paramedics could not revive him.
A week ago, Prince was on stage performing in Atlanta. Today, a coroner will perform an autopsy on him. The results of that could shed some light on the mysterious death of the 57-year-old music legend who collapsed and died at his home outside Minneapolis, Minnesota. We're told he was battling a bad case of the flu a week before, but many are wondering if there was something else going on.
Friends say he may have foreseen it coming. He had started working on his memoir recently. It's called The Beautiful One. President Obama and First Lady Michelle were personally greeted by Queen Elizabeth when Marine One landed in London. Prince Philip drove them all to Windsor Castle. ABC's Terry Moran has more on their schedule.
The Obamas certainly have a busy day. President Obama going to number 10 Downing Street to meet with British Prime Minister David Cameron. He'll have a press conference there, and then he and Michelle will both be dining with the young royals, Prince William and Kate Middleton and Prince Harry, all at Kensington Palace, and that is a much anticipated event.
Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death, according to the CDC. The overall rate has risen 24% in 15 years. A public restroom hand dryer is the equivalent of a germ flamethrower, according to a new study. Researchers say a high-speed dryer sprays germs as far as 9 feet away, a hand towel just 10 inches. This is ABC News.
Let's face it, you don't drive that beige minivan to turn heads. So it's embarrassing when your brake pads start screeching like a wounded eagle at every stop sign you come to. Right now, you can silence the squeal with a great deal on CarQuest Gold brake pads, courtesy of your neighborhood Advance Auto Parts. And when you purchase a set of pads along with 2 rotors, you can get $15 back by mail. Advance Auto Parts. Let's get you back to the garage. Also available at participating CarQuest Auto Parts. Mail and rebate. Void where prohibited. See store for details.
QL1, does Rocket Mortgage require me to fill out a bunch of paperwork? Negative control. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that quickly imports your financial data. You can go through the entire mortgage approval process in minutes. That is fast, like rocket fast. It also works on any internet-ready device, so you can get a Rocket Mortgage at any time or place you choose. Over. 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Voters in Oklahoma will be asked in November whether they want a controversial monument returned to the state capitol grounds. ABC's Jim Ryan tells us the issue will be on the ballot despite outcry from opponents.
The Oklahoma Supreme Court last year ordered the granite 10 Commandments tablets removed from the Capitol grounds because the state constitution prohibits the use of public funds to support religion. Last night, the Oklahoma House revisited the matter despite the objection of lawmakers like Democratic Representative Richard Morissette.
$1.3 billion budget hole, teachers being laid off. Why don't you all concern yourself about the business of the people? Stupid amendment anyway.
But one that Oklahomans will vote on in November. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Organizers of the annual Scripps National Spelling Contest are adding new sting to prevent the competition from ending in a draw, as it has in the past 2 years. This year, championship rounds will last longer, and the words will be more difficult. Instead of a predetermined list of 25 words for final spellers, the list is being increased to 75. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The Thurston County mother, whose 18-month-old son died in a fire, has been sentenced to a year behind bars. Lawyers in the case had recommended that Ashley Conroy, who pled guilty to second-degree criminal mistreatment, get 7 months, but the judge disagreed and issued the longer sentence. The November 3rd, 2014 fire on Steamboat Island Road started in the bedroom of the toddler that was being heated by an electric grill, which had started 2 smaller fires in the past month. Fire investigators found that the electric grill, with the grill portion removed, was less than a foot away from the boy's bed, and that the room was dirty and filled with clothes, garbage, and car parts. 35th District state lawmakers talked about the past legislative session during a breakfast this week. State Senator Tim Sheldon and Representatives Dan Griffey and Drew McEwen shared their thoughts on the successes during the session. Sheldon, who in December becomes the state's longest-serving lawmaker with 20 years as senator and 7 years in the House, says the biggest accomplishment was the state legislature passing a budget that was sustainable for 4 years. Representative Griffey, the 35th District's first-term lawmaker and a firefighter for 20 years, said he fought to pass legislation to protect seniors from abuse. Representative Drew McEwen said lawmakers still have to deal with the McCleary court decision requiring the legislature to meet its constitutional duty to adequately fund the state's schools. The lawmakers attended the breakfast at Alderbrook Golf and Yacht Club. Fans and musicians in the South Sound are expressing their shock over the loss of music icon Prince. He died yesterday morning at the age of 57. Medical personnel were called to his Paisley Park studios and found him unresponsive in an elevator. They performed CPR but could not revive him. The cause of death is still being investigated. An autopsy is scheduled for today. In honor of Earth Day, Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission is offering a free day at all state parks today. Visitors will not need to display a Discover Pass for day use visits to state parks. Lisa Lance, stewardship manager for Washington State Parks, says they invite everyone to come and visit a park and enjoy nature at some of its finest. The free days are in keeping with legislation that created the Discover Pass. The pass costs $30 for an annual pass or $10 for a one-day permit and is required for vehicle access to state recreation lands managed by Washington State Parks, the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, and the Department of Natural Resources. The next free day after today is May 8th, followed by June 4th, June 11th, August 25th, September 24th, and November 11th. For iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
It's a new look to the Seattle Mariners. From the GM down, things have changed. One thing that hasn't changed is that we at iFIBER ONE News Radio are still your only South Sound home for the Seattle Mariners. The Seattle Mariners are brought to you in part by Whitney's Chevrolet, Ascend Roofing, L&D Bottling, Claris Eye Center, PUD number 3, and Olympia Furniture Company.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things: dew, juice, and caffeine, rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now.
Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful.
Roger that.
Get charged up with Mountain Dew Kickstart, now in 4 energizing new flavors like Midnight Grape. It all starts with a kick.
Now from the all-new Gillis Auto Center Sports Desk, here's Sean Wells.
Alex Raimundo had a hat trick for Shelton as the High Climbers took care of Lincoln on the pitch, 4-1. It was the second win in a row for Shelton, who will look to keep things rolling when they travel to Foss on Tuesday. You can catch video highlights of the big win on iFiber1newsradio.com this afternoon. The Imps picked up their second win in a row in dramatic fashion, knocking off the Cleveland Indians 10-7 in extra innings. Robinson Cano played the role of hero for the Mariners, crushing a 3-run home run over the center field fence in the top of the 10th.
The pitch to Cano, he swings and smacks it out to center field. Naquin racing back. He's out of the warning track. He's at the wall, and it's gone into the bushes. A 3-run homer for Robinson Cano. He absolutely pummeled that pitch from out into straightaway center field with 2 outs, a mammoth 3-run homer, and the Mariners have taken a 10-7 lead here in the top of the 10th inning.
The win put Seattle at 7-8 on the season. The Mariners will look for their third win in a row when they face the Angels tonight in Anaheim. Pre-game is live on iFIBER ONE News Radio at 6 p.m. First pitch set for 7:05. For iFIBER ONE News Radio, I'm Sean Wells.
Good morning. It's 10 after 8, and I'm Carol Gardner. Some rain showers on and off this morning, mixed with some sun breaks. High today in the low 60s. Tomorrow morning, we'll start out dry with some rain and wind increasing throughout the day. And Sunday, more cool weather and showers. Right now, it's 60.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
(8:11) iFIBER ONE News Radio. Good morning to you. It's Daybreak. Jeff and Carol on a Friday, Earth Day. Looks nice out there right now. We got some great guests still coming up. Had a wonderful day today. We have talked already this morning with Thurston County Commissioner Bud Blake. Jerry Apple brought in Josh and Rachel and Patty to talk about Domino's takeover at the SAD Club coming up on Tuesday. They also have some big events happening this weekend at the high school. Just wrapped up that Derek Kilmer interview from Washington. He is our representative in the 6th District. And Kevin Schmelzlin is scheduled to be on the air with us in a couple of moments to talk about this weekend's Shelton to the Top cleanup location. And Don Pinnell for Riveting Radio Real Estate. I'm already heading to some of those real estate websites just to kind of look. It's always fun to peruse. And we're going to be playing the role of buyer here now with Dawn. And so we're going to talk about the buying process. Also, she'll continue to go through her ethics list. So she's got a bunch of those. We ran out of time last time with Dawn to talk about those. So those are some of the great guests that still are coming up here on Daybreak.
That's right. And if you want to connect with us, you can hear us on iFIBER ONE News Radio. We're on air at AM 1030 and FM 103.3. You can follow us on Twitter at iFIBER ONE Radio or get our news on our Facebook page. You just have to like our page. You can find our page by searching in the search bar iFIBER ONE News Radio. It's at the top of the page. Just plop that in there. And we've just launched the new iFiberOneNewsRadio.com website. And on the news site, you can comment, you can post, you can watch the Daybreak show. You can call us on the listener line at 360-462-1041 and give us some information.
Yeah, that is also the number you need for Monday for our Mariners Monday contest. Listen for the sports report with Sports Director Sean Wells during the newscasts and to get the clues you need to answer the question. And this time again, between 8:15 and 8:30, listen for the Mariners theme music. Be the first person with the right answer. Call in that listener line Carol mentioned at 360-462-1041. Winning tickets to the May 14th game against the Los Angeles Angels. That night, additionally, Root Sports Kyle Seager bobblehead night. Kevin Schmelzlin comes up next here on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Are you a do-it-yourselfer or a direct-it-yourselfer?
Every weekend, people tell us about overspending on projects they could have handled themselves for lots less money.
And we hear from people who ended up overspending because they tried to do something they should have called in a pro to tackle.
Well, we'll help you sort it out. I'm Tom Kreitler.
And I'm Leslie Segretti. Got a remodeling or a repair project?
We can help you decide whether to do it yourself or direct it yourself this weekend on the Money Fit Home Improvement Radio Show.
Saturdays at 10, Sundays at 7 on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
When your doctor orders you a CT scan at Mason General Hospital, you can be assured of getting the best images available. Mason General Hospital's Diagnostic Imaging Department has received nationwide recognition from the American College of Radiology for excellence in its CT program. The Toshiba Prime 80 CT scanner and its highly trained staff meet the gold standard in quality, comfort, and safety, with 50% less radiation exposure and software for the most precise imaging available. The best in CT scanning is very close by at Mason General Hospital.
Mason General Hospital and family of clinics Equal opportunity provider. Translation services provided.
Mason General and Family Athletics.
At highway speeds, the average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. That's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop texts, stopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Lori Agino, Director of Elections for the Washington Secretary of State. Don't miss your chance to vote in the presidential primary. You can register to vote online, by mail, or update your address at myvote.wa.gov. But hurry, you'll need to do so by April 25th. If you're not registered in Washington, you can sign up in person at your county elections office until May 16th. Presidential primaries right around the corner, May 24th. Sponsored by the Office of the Secretary of State as provided by law.
iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It's 8:15, iFIBER One News Radio. Marilyn Foster's news comes up in 15 minutes. But right now, we are happy to have in studio once again from Shelton to the Top, local citizen around here, Kevin Schmelzlin. Morning, Kevin.
Good morning.
Happy Earth Day.
Yes, happy Earth Day.
All right, for sure. It's Earth Day today, and we're talking about the cleanup efforts that you have started. You picked it up all by yourself. We had you on, I don't know, a month, 2 months ago, seems like, and really has taken over. Shelton to the Top is on a lot of people's minds, and you have been out and about in the community picking up. First thing, on your Facebook page, facebook.com/Shelton to the Top, you post some pretty eye-opening pictures, disgusting pictures is probably another way to think about it.
You're just like, how and where could this be? You know, but it's right there in our backyard,
in our own backyard. So how has the effort been to start to getting folks to help you clean up Shelton?
I'm really excited about it. I couldn't be more excited about the progress we've made so far, how this movement is growing, and the impact that we're having, at least as I perceive it. We've cleaned up. Fortunately, we were receiving the support of the Mason County Sheriff's Department in actually removing the trash. So our volunteers are not having to take money out of their own wallets and pay for these dumping fees anymore.
Cool.
So that's a great partnership that we have. I know the Sheriff's Department actually initiated that conversation.
Oh, good.
So I'm really excited about that partnership. Because of that, the unfortunate part of that is we don't necessarily always find out how many pounds of trash we were disposing of. But my estimate at this point is about 14 to 15,000 pounds of trash we've removed from the area. We've had about 100 different people come out to help us with these cleanups. And more important to me is the fact that I'm hearing from people all over the city, all over the county, telling me that they've been doing these cleanups themselves. I'm seeing a lot more bad trash just on the side of the road. I'm hoping that those people are then taking the follow-up action to get rid of those bad trash. But it seems like it's a growing movement, and the idea was for this to become part of the culture here in Shelton, where we don't just not throw trash on the ground, but that when people see trash, they're more interested in picking it up and taking care of the problem. So I think that is happening.
Yeah.
I see on your Facebook page you were at the Choice High School and you spoke there yesterday.
Yeah. Yes, I was invited by Choice High School to speak to their students, and it was fantastic. And actually, after that presentation, just spoke for about 10 to 15 minutes, and I heard from quite a few students, both through Facebook message afterwards and in person after the presentation, telling me that they've been picking up trash, and that they're interested in picking up trash, and that this is something that they're really interested in, which is really inspiring to me, because if we're trying to change the culture in this town where people are going to go the extra foot or extra mile to make it a cleaner, greater city, we definitely need the younger people involved. So, hearing from them that this is actually something that excites them is amazing.
Yeah, the education part of it.
Where are you going to be this weekend?
This weekend, we are going to do 2 cleanups. Here in Shelton, we're going to meet at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday at Evergreen Square parking lot downtown, close to El Serape Cantina.
Sure.
And there's a couple of different spots that we want to hit in Shelton, a couple of dumping sites, pretty much just off of a few roads around town. So we'll give those directions and those exact sites on Saturday morning to the volunteers. And on Sunday, we're actually going up to Union. Webb Hill Road is a really bad dumping site, unfortunately. I don't know exactly why people choose that road to dump. I think the fact that there's a pretty steep canyon right off the road. So we are finding couches. We were there last Sunday as well. Couches, fridges, mattresses, all sorts of things. And at the very end of that, I was tipped off to a really, really bad mess just off a spur road off of Webb Hill Road. So that's where we're going to start.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that's the picture I'm looking at from last weekend's Webb Hill cleanup there. There are couches and tires and all sorts of messes.
It seems overwhelming. I mean,
it seems that way. The very first cleanup we did, I looked at this big mess and I was like, this is going to be hard. This is going to be an all-day thing, even with 20 or 25 people. And it helped on that one that we actually had somebody with a machine that was able to pick it all up. But, if we have 10 people out there, that mess that looks really, really horrible, and it is really, really horrible, we can clean that up in about an hour.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. When we all concentrate on that spot, especially when it's all congregated in one area, it actually makes it a lot easier. It's the street side trash and all the cigarette butts and plastic bottles that are strewn every 5 or 10 feet in many places. Those are a little bit harder actually to pick up. It's the dump sites and the abandoned homeless camps are a little bit easier for us.
Yesterday, we were looking at this in preparation for you coming over here, and one of the pictures that you posted was this, 20, looks like to me, heroin needles.
Yeah.
So what is the story on this? Were they all found all in the same spot? I mean, as the picture was taken, that's what we're seeing? Or was that a collection to show how many were found?
No, that was not. We did not gather those up. Once we pick up the needles, they go right in our sharps disposal kit.
Sure.
Those were found in a pile, like you see in the picture.
So is this city property, county property, private property?
Where those needles were found is technically private property. And most of the dump sites that we find, the abandoned homeless camps that we find, tend to be on private property. And this isn't private property with a house on it or anything. I mean, this is a wooded area. Where we were is, I'd say, the southeast corner of downtown, so close to the Pizza Hut and El Guadalajara restaurant.
Oh yeah, so kind of where they're doing that road work.
Yeah, pretty close to that.
Okay.
And I had actually eaten at El Guadalajara, a fantastic restaurant in my opinion, and was standing in the parking lot and noticed, I've got a pretty good eye nowadays for spotting trash. I noticed this pile of trash over there. And that was even before wandering into the wooded area where we found a lot more. But actually, it was where those needles were found was before you even walked into the wooded area, pretty exposed to the public. Yeah.
Has there ever been concerns about the fact that if it is open to the public, or the first one that you did was along the train tracks, that kids are getting in here and playing with this stuff?
Well, we're concerned that could happen. If we're not involved, if we're not cleaning it up.
Yeah.
During these cleanups, any kids that are there, we're encouraging kids to be involved in cleaning up our city, but we do say, parent supervision is required, or adult supervision is required, because we don't necessarily know what we're going to find out. I mean, we might be picking up just on the sidewalk and find needles. That has happened before.
Wow.
So, they can be found anywhere. So this is a very real concern that we have, that, there's a lot more of these needles out there. We're only skimming the surface right now. And so, there really this cleanup effort needs to continue if we want to get rid of these dangerous objects.
Are you getting any help from the private property owners that you are cleaning up? Do they come out and know what you're doing, or they sort of far away owners that are not here?
I'd say both. And I don't always know who the property owners are is part of it. And that's something that we're trying to work on. And it's really because of time constraints so far that I haven't been able to do the kind of research that I would like to do, and our team hasn't been able to do the kind of research that we'd like to do to find out who owns it and then be able to contact them. That is something we're trying to make more and more of an effort on. But a lot of times these property owners don't necessarily live in the area or even in the state. The last property that we did here in Shelton, where we found those needles, actually did hear from the property owner, who wasn't very happy about the fact that we had trespassed on the property. We've had a conversation, and like I said, I'm going to try to make more of an effort to contact these property owners, these landowners. But I'd say for the most part, the property owners are happy that this is getting cleaned up. That is what the property owner I spoke with last Saturday ultimately told me on the phone, that he's happy that this cleanup happened. It's just, he would have liked more notice, and I can respect that. Absolutely.
Sure. This is a big, long-standing events that you have been putting on almost every weekend.
Every weekend,
every weekend now. So good on you for doing this. I mean, you are just a private citizen who. So the background, though, is that you're not from here originally. You moved here because you like the area, and then you see what's going on, and you decide to do something about it.
Yes,
that's great. 8:25 again this weekend. You are going to be Saturday at 9:30. Going to meet at Evergreen Square here.
That's right,
downtown, and then Sunday at 10 up on Webb Hill.
Yes, correct.
Okay, as many people as can come.
Absolutely. We want as many people as possible to help us. We will have liability forms for people to sign, but there's really no requirements to come and help us out other than if you're a minor, we need adult supervision.
So if you get 10, 20, 30 people and you get all the stuff cleaned up at your desired locations fast, you just keep moving around, or are you done for the day?
It depends. If for Webb Hill, for example, we know there's more than enough to keep us busy for a long time. So once we clean up that one mess I posted in the picture, we'll continue on down Webb Hill. Sometimes, if it's a more isolated mess, sometimes we may just call early, but generally we're going to at least 11:30.
Okay.
But if people can only show up for 20 minutes, that's great, and we would love that help.
Kevin Schmelzlin on the air with us. It's facebook.com/Shelton to the top. Get involved in your local community. Even if you don't live in Shelton, there is opportunities to clean up your cities and communities as well.
Absolutely.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend. 8:28 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio. We'll take a break. Sherry's calling in for the morning stock numbers in a couple of moments. And Marilyn Foster has the latest in local news. It's all right here on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
PUD3 says all of us can pick up litter. All of us can leave the land better than we found it. During Countdown to Earth Day, let's all dedicate ourselves to making this a better world. This reminder brought to you by PUD3.
It's not too late to help clean up the environment. Castle and Coleman Logging says it's simple. Join or help organize a cleanup or restoration project in your neighborhood, school, youth group, church, or workplace. This Countdown to Earth Day tip is brought to you by Castle and Coleman Logging.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me, heavy news?
Disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
Look for your free copy of Coffee News, available in restaurants throughout the South Sound and Mason County.
Hi, I'm Ken Slater, the Roof Doctor. If you're like me, your family's important, so make sure that they're well taken care of. One of the best ways to do that is to provide a safe and warm home to live in. For over 50 years, the Roof Doctor has been helping families stay safe and warm by building roofs that last for generations. Our teams have some of the most experienced roofers in the area, and we only use the highest quality materials to keep your family safe, warm, and dry. That's the Roof Doctor. Give us a call.
Aloha! This month at the Lucky Dog Casino, your chance to win a trip for two to Hawaii. Saturday night, the 16th and the 30th, 5 winners per hour win $50 in Lucky Bucks. 4 finalists will draw for a trip for two to Hawaii. And while we're on the subject, every Friday, sample the chef's Hawaiian food special at the North Fork Grill. Prime rib Saturdays and steak and shrimp scampi being served on Sundays. Minutes north of Shelton on Highway 101, the Lucky Dog Casino.
iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
Now, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here, iFIBER One News Radio, and Mary Lynn Foster has the latest in local news coming up. Find more know-how and your local Napa store online at napaonline.com. Jeff and Carol here on Daybreak on a Friday morning, coming up on May 13th through the 15th. 12th annual Bluegrass from the Forest is coming up, Carol. Lots of fun.
Yeah.
Great music. Shelton Performing Arts Center, the high school campuses, and there's going to be picking and strumming all throughout the campus there at the high school. We'll be talking with Dwayne and Greg about that event coming up here on iFIBER One. Right now, we're going to check the morning stock numbers. Sherry? Hello, Sherry.
Hello, how are you, Jeff?
I'm well. How are you?
Good.
Happy Friday.
Well, happy Friday to you, too.
What have you been thinking about this beautiful weather we've been having?
I know, and it's going to be rainy this weekend.
I know. Oh, well. It's almost summertime.
That's right.
Sherry, what's going on with Wall Street this morning?
Well, first of all, I just want to remind everybody that we're still accepting dog food for Adopt-A-Pet. And you can bring that in anytime during the week.
So it's for dogs and cats. Any kind of food is accepted.
That's right. You don't have to bring in a big bag. You can just get a small bag. And all 4 Edward Jones in town is accepting dog food and cat food.
That's pretty cool.
So we want to help them out.
Oh, yeah. Adopt-A-Pet's a great organization.
Yes, they are. But this morning, the U.S. stocks are lower after poor quarterly reports from Microsoft and Alphabet outweighed gains from steady oil prices. In other earnings news, the fast food giant McDonald's posted better than expected earnings, fueled by the all-day breakfast value meals. And Caterpillar reported results that were in line with this March 17th pre-announcement and lowered its full-year outlook to reflect further in its mining and transportation. U.S. bond prices are gaining to start the day. So far this morning in the S&P 500, the best sector is energy and the worst sector is technology. And the Dow Jones average is down 52.46 at 17,930. The Standard & Poor's 500 index is down 9.47 at 2,082. The NASDAQ is down 67.89 at 4,877. This morning in the volume of the New York Stock Exchange is high with about 263.59 million shares traded. Advancers are outnumbering decliners by roughly a 2-to-1 margin. In commodity markets, gold is down $4.57 to $1,243.49. Silver is up 24 cents to $17.24. And crude oil prices are up $1.04 to $44.22. In bond markets, the 30-year Treasury yield is currently at 2.70%, and the 10-year Treasury yield is at 1.88%. In local stocks today, we have Amazon, that is down $17.56. Costco is down $1.53. Boeing is up 25 cents. Starbucks is down $3.35, and Microsoft is down $4.16. This is Sherry of Edward Jones, a member of the SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and long-term care. You can find us at 1051 Southeast State Route 3 in Suite E in Shelton here, or you can give us a call at 4590. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Hey, Sherry, you do the same.
Bye.
Bye-bye. 8:33 now on iFIBER One News Radio. Marilyn Foster's news is coming up. Also, Don Pennell's riveting radio real estate. It's all right here on Daybreak. Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The Thurston County mother whose 18-month-old son died in a fire has been sentenced to a year behind bars. Lawyers in the case had recommended that Ashley Conroy, who pled guilty to second-degree criminal mistreatment, get 7 months, but the judge disagreed and issued the longer sentence. The November 3rd, 2014 fire on Steamboat Island Road started in the bedroom of the toddler that was being heated by an electric grill, which had started 2 smaller fires in the past month. Fire investigators found that the electric grill, with the grill portion removed, was less than a foot away from the boy's bed, and that the room was dirty and filled with clothes, garbage, and car parts. 35th District state lawmakers talked about the past legislative session during a breakfast this week. State Senator Tim Sheldon and Representatives Dan Griffey and Drew McEwen shared their thoughts on the successes during the session. Sheldon, who in December becomes the state's longest-serving lawmaker with 20 years as senator and 7 years in the House, says the biggest accomplishment was the state legislature passing a budget that was sustainable for 4 years. Representative Griffey, the 35th District's first-term lawmaker and a firefighter for 20 years, said he fought to pass legislation to protect seniors from abuse. Representative Drew McEwen said lawmakers still have to deal with the McCleary court decision requiring the legislature to meet its constitutional duty to adequately fund the state's schools. The lawmakers attended the breakfast at Alderbrook Golf and Yacht Club. Fans and musicians in the South Sound are expressing their shock over the loss of music icon Prince. He died yesterday morning at the age of 57. Medical personnel were called to his Paisley Park studios and found him unresponsive in an elevator. They performed CPR but could not revive him. The cause of death is still being investigated. An autopsy is scheduled for today. In honor of Earth Day, Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission is offering a free day at all state parks today. Visitors will not need to display a Discover Pass for day use visits to state parks. Lisa Lance, stewardship manager for Washington State Parks, says they invite everyone to come and visit a park and enjoy nature at some of its finest. The free days are in keeping with legislation that created the Discover Pass. The pass costs $30 for an annual pass or $10 for a one-day permit and is required for vehicle access to state recreation lands managed by Washington State Parks, the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, and the Department of Natural Resources. The next free day after today is May 8th, followed by June 4th, June 11th, August 25th, September 24th, and November 11th. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
At Mason PUD3, we know that time changes all things, like phone numbers, mailing addresses, and email addresses, even names. PUD3 needs your correct account information for emergency contacts and online security. To make this fun, all PUD3 customers who update or confirm their account information by April 27th will have their names placed into a drawing for a free iPad mini. Go to masonpud3.org/account to learn more.
Let's take advantage of the Warriors without their MVP. Hi, everybody. Todd Ant reporting on sports. Cubs ace Jake Arrieta tossed the first no-hitter of the season last night and the second of his career.
This should do it. Jason Hayward makes it count. It's a no-hitter. Jake Arrieta has done it again.
On Comcast Sports Network, Arrieta struck out 6 with 4 walks and says he didn't have his best stuff.
The timing was off. From start to finish, I was just able to lock it in, pile up some outs pretty quickly.
Chris Bryant had 4 hits, 6 RBIs, 4 runs, and a grand slam. Cubs win 16-0 in Cincinnati. NBA playoffs, no Curry, no win.
Into the paint, the step-back jumper for the lead. He got it!
On KBME, James Harden knocked down the short J with 2.7 seconds left. The inbound pass went out of bounds off Draymond Green's foot. The Rockets beat the Warriors 97-96. Steph Curry sat out with a sore ankle. Golden State up 2-1. Kevin Durant shook off a terrible shooting night in Game 2 with 34 points in Game 3.
Durant pulls up, arches an angle of 21-foot jumper. It goes, and one coming.
On WWLS, Thunder 131, Mavericks 102 in Dallas, and OKC takes a 2-1 series lead. Raptors rip the Pacers 101-85 in Indianapolis. To the NHL playoffs, the first team to advance to the next round.
Citizen, score! Come on! Come on! 1-0 Lightning!
On WFLA, Tampa Bay eliminates Detroit with a 1-0 win, and the Lightning are off to the second round. The Blackhawks are alive and well for now.
He moves toward the net and shoots. Oh, it rolls just under the rebound. Score! Patrick Kane with a wraparound goal in overtime. And the Hawks beat the Blues in double overtime, 4-3.
On WGN, in Chicago avoids elimination. Blues are up 3-2. Penguins shut down the Rangers 5-0 in New York to take a 3-1 lead. Game 5 in Pittsburgh Saturday. Ducks beat the Predators 4-1 in Nashville to even that series at 2 games each. Todd Ant, ABC Sports.
This Monday, you've got a chance to win tickets to the Mariners during Daybreak. Get clues during the Monday Morning Sports Report, and between 8:15 and 8:30, listen for the Mariners theme music, and you could be a winner. First caller with the right answer to 360-462-1041 wins a pair of tickets to the May 14th game against the Los Angeles Angels. Only one winner per household per season. For complete rules, check iFIBER1newsradio.com. It's Mariners Monday on Daybreak.
Now from the all-new Gillis Auto Center Sports Desk, here's Sean Wells.
Alex Ramundo had a hat trick for Shelton as the High Climbers took care of Lincoln on the pitch, 4-1. It was the second win in a row for Shelton, who will look to keep things rolling when they travel to Foss on Tuesday. You can catch video highlights of the big win on iFIBER1newsradio.com this afternoon. The Imps picked up their second win in a row in dramatic fashion, knocking off the Cleveland Indians 10-7 in extra innings. Robinson Cano played the role of hero for the Mariners, crushing a 3-run home run over the center field fence in the top of the 10th.
The pitch to Cano, he swings and smacks it out to center field. Nate Winter racing back. He's on the warning track. He's at the wall, and it's gone into the bushes. A 3-run homer for Robinson Cano. He absolutely pummeled that pitch from out into straightaway center field with 2 outs, a mammoth 3-run homer, and the Mariners have taken a 10-7 lead here in the top of the 10th inning.
The win puts Seattle at 7-8 on the season. The Mariners will look for their third win in a row when they face the Angels tonight in Anaheim. Pre-game is live on iFIBER1 News Radio at 6 p.m. First pitch set for 7:05. For iFIBER1 News Radio, I'm Sean Wells.
Good morning. It's 8:40. Rain showers on and off this morning, mixed with some sun breaks. High today in the low 60s. The weekend is going to be a little gloomy. We're going to have rain and wind, showers, cool weather. Highs only in the low 60s, maybe even the mid 50s.
I know you're speaking truth, but come on, Debbie Downer over here.
I know you don't like me because it's raining. I'm sorry. But right now it's pretty nice out with some sun breaks, and it's 58.
Now, from the iFIBER1 News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
Good morning to you. It's 8:42. Some riveting radio real estate coming up in just a couple of moments from Don Pennell and Don Pennell Real Estate with John L. Scott. Also coming up today, we have a new website to talk to you about and other events for the weekend. That's all coming up here on iFIBER1 News Radio.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER1 News Radio.
Mountain View Women's Health has great advice if you're planning on a new baby. Prepare early. A healthy baby has the best start when mom is in good health. Regular exercise, a healthy body weight, and good diet is the best foundation for a healthy baby and pregnancy. Choosing your obstetrician is important too. Mountain View Women's Health has board-certified obstetrician, gynecologists, and physician assistants to expertly guide you through your pregnancy. Coordinating with the Birth Center at Mason General Hospital for excellent continuity care. Have your baby close to home. Call Mountain View Women's Health for a consultation today, 426-0955.
Mountain View Women's Health is part of Mason General Hospital and family of clinics. Equal opportunity provider. Translation services provided.
Mason General and family of clinics.
Mornings start with Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio. Join Jeff and Carol weekdays from 6 to 9 on AM 1030 and FM 1033, KMAS Shelton.
Hi, this is Terry Allen with a look at the community calendar on iFIBER ONE News Radio. Nonprofits post your events on iFiber1newsradio.com. Need help calming your mind, relaxing your body? Gentle yoga sessions are every Tuesday at the Grant Historic School just off Pickering Road. The classes, led by certified yoga teacher Karen Lee, are $10 per session. Bring a yoga mat and a blanket for the slower-paced yoga class. Call 206-819-5095. For iFIBER ONE News Radio, I'm Terry Allen.
This is Steve Kramer from Kramer Tackle for this week's fishing report. Lowland Lake opener is this Saturday. So basically all the lakes in western Washington will be open to fish. Most have been stocked with good numbers of trout. And with the warm weather we've had, the bass and the bluegills are already up shallow making beds. I fished Long Lake last week. In one morning, I caught 8 bass. 3 of them were over 6 pounds. The rest were in the 2 to 4 pound class. I was throwing Cincos around the docks and white spinnerbaits. If you'd rather catch a trout, I would spend some time on Spencer Lake or Patterson Lake or Hicks Lake, and I would troll a wedding ring with a worm. If you'd rather get a kokanee, I would troll some pop here up at Summit Lake or at Wards Lake. So if you can, please take a kid fishing and make sure you check out the recreations page at iFiber1.com. And don't forget my site, KramerTackleandGuide.com. This has been Steve Kramer. Thanks for listening and good fishing.
iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 1033 presents Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here, iFIBER ONE News Radio. Jeff and Carol on a Friday. And Carol, excited this Friday. Once again, riveting radio real estate with Don Fennell. Morning, Don.
Good morning.
Weather's getting nice.
Yes.
One thing I know I do is my peepers start looking at the house listings.
Yes.
They're everywhere I'm seeing, and they are moving fast, though. Is that right?
They are moving very fast. Yes, the inventory is still down, even though we're starting to see more signs up around. We still don't have anywhere near as many listings as we would like.
And quick turnarounds for some of these.
Yes.
Amen. Christmas.
Yes. Yes.
So we're going to be, we're moving, we moved on to be, we're going to pretend that we're buyers now.
We're buyers today.
And
yes.
What's the first step?
Well, last time we talked about getting pre-approval for your financing. I can't stress enough how important that is, because it's, especially with things moving so quickly, if you go out and find a house that you fall in love with, and then find out you can't afford it, that's pretty devastating. So,
and just quickly, do you go to your bank or do you go to a specialized mortgage type person?
You can go to either one, actually, whichever you're most comfortable with. I think I suggested last time that a good place to start is where you bank, because they know you, presumably. But if you have trouble finding somebody to do that, I would be happy to give you some options of folks that I know that do a good job.
The other thing I just thought of is when we were talking about this is, if you don't have at least some frame of reference, you're going to be looking at houses probably way out of your range.
Right.
But even if you find something that would be in your range, then you have to go take the steps to find out if you can get pre-approved.
Right.
By that time, the house may be gone.
It may be gone. Absolutely. In this market especially, you've got to be ready to go. So what I thought I would do today is go through kind of a little checklist that I have that so you know what you're looking for. And that helps me as well when you come to me to really know what it is you're looking for, and way beyond just number of bedrooms and number of bathrooms. There are things like the square footage. Are you looking for a big house? Are you looking for a small house? Are you looking for a lot of land or a little bit of land? Do you want to do yard work? Do you not want to do yard work? How many car parking spaces do you need? Do you want to shop? Or do you want just a big garage? Or do you want a detached garage? Or do you want an attached garage? All those kinds of things. What kind of flooring do you like? Do you have allergies? So do you need hardwood floors or tile floors as opposed to carpeting? Or does it matter to you? Features that you'd like. We talked about a workshop, a fireplace, a basement, those kinds of things. If you can narrow those things down, it makes it a little easier to find out what you're looking for. Do you have any other special requirements? I mean, do you need a kosher kitchen is one that I've heard. Are you looking for a place that has a kosher kitchen? Do you need
ramps and stuff? Probably.
Yes. Handicapped ramps. Do you need a separate apartment?
Right.
Do you need a separate entrance? When I ran into, not too long ago, somebody was looking for an in-home office and they wanted a separate entrance that would go into that office space. Well, those are good things to know because it narrows down the possibilities.
So I have a question. So suppose you're somebody that likes architecture and you really like the styling, but usually they're older houses.
Right.
So is it true that an older house is basically a lot of trouble? I mean,
not necessarily, but it is good to know that if you are looking at an older house because you like the character and the architecture, you just need to be aware that you may be running into things that you may not expect, like old wiring and asbestos in the ceiling or in the linoleum, those kinds of things. Those are all things that can be dealt with, and you can end up with a fantastic house, but you do need to be aware of that going in. Having said that, though, a brand new house can have issues as well. And we'll talk a little bit in the other shows about getting an inspection because that's really, really important.
Oh, yeah.
So another thing to think about, too, is take a look at your current home and what do you really like in your current home that you would like to see in your new home. Do you need to be in a specific school district? Do you need to be close to shopping? Do you need to be close to a commuter option like a bus or a train or something like that? Those are all things that you should write down and make a list so that you know. And you can do one of two things. You can come and see me and tell me those criteria and I can punch them into my little sheet and we can take a look and see what's available. Or you can go on a website like the John L. Scott website or Zillow or Redfin, any of those, and they will ask you different criteria that you can put in. And then they will automatically filter the things that you see. So instead of getting the list of the 100 or so options that are on the market, you'll get a much shorter list that meet your criteria. A shop is a big one. If somebody wants a shop and we put that criteria in, all of a sudden you go from 50 listings down to 5.
I bet.
Yeah. So because that's, but if you need a shop and there's no sense in looking at places that don't have a shop if that's what you're looking for. So
I can see how that would be really good, but at the same time, I'd be thinking, well, am I missing something then? That's something that I thought maybe I don't know I wanted.
Yeah. Well, and that is an option as well. If you don't mind, spending some time looking, we can certainly put together a list of anything in the area that's in your price range. And usually what I recommend in that case is that you go drive by the place first. And if it looks like something that you're interested in, then come back and we can put together a tour. We need to keep in mind that a lot of times places are occupied. So we need to make an appointment to go see them. So if it's vacant, you can just stop by the office and say, hey, I want to go see this place. If it's not, then I need some time to call and make appointments. So
if we're going to go out on an adventure with you to look at multiple houses, about how many do you go? Is there a limit to when you start going? You either get housed out or you start just not being able to distinguish between the houses?
They all start to run together. Yeah. I usually recommend about 5 or 6 max in any one sitting, and probably 3 or 4 would be better.
Yeah.
Just because you do sort of start seeing things now. Which house was that? And I always print out a listing for the folks to take with them so they can take notes.
Sure.
And say, okay, this was the house with the big closets or whatever, just so they can kind of keep it straight in their mind.
Right.
Every once in a while, and I kind of like it when this happens. The first house you go to, you walk in and you say, "This is perfect. I love it."
Good enough.
That doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's kind of neat, because then it's really a testament to that you've really done your homework, you really know what you're looking for, and it does happen. You'll love at first sight.
I was really encouraged, and I mentioned this just so we all are on the same page. I used Christy Buck for John L. Scott for mine, and I was encouraged because Stephanie had a list, and she came up with a couple houses.
Right.
I made a list that came up with and Christy came up with a list, and when we got them together, I was really encouraged that we had so many of the same
things in common,
same houses, even the same houses that were listed. So it really kind of again showed me that you guys at John L. Scott do listen and know what we are looking for too. It was nice to know that.
We really try to, and sometimes if we look and we just don't find anything, then I kind of keep in the back of my mind what you're looking for, and as I see the new listings, we get a new listings hot sheet, it's called, every morning of new things on the market, and I have 3 or 4 people right now that I'm kind of thinking this might be something that they like, and so I email it to them, and they either say, yeah, let's go look at it, or what were you thinking, you know. But you know, you do kind of keep that, and I keep a file for each of my clients to what they're looking for, and those things change sometimes too. After you start looking, you may have thought you wanted hardwood, but after you see hardwood, maybe not, you know, or you may have thought you absolutely had to have 4 bedrooms. And when you get actually out there looking and realize the cost of 4 bedrooms, you may think, well, maybe we can get by with 3, you know, those kinds of things. So it's kind of a fluid process, but having said that, it does really help to know going in kind of what your parameters are.
Especially if there's something very specific, like you need the ramps type stuff for a handicapped person, or if you need a shop for your big, huge RV or something.
Or you need to be in a specific school district for whatever reason. You know, you have to, you need to take those things into account. So,
we've been talking throughout the weeks of the ethical standards. There's about 17 of them.
17
or so,
of them, yes.
And we've kind of been going over them each time you're on the air. Which one would you like to focus on today?
This one is number 4.
Okay.
So that one says realtors shall not acquire an interest in or buy or present offers from themselves, any member of their immediate families, their firms, or any member thereof, or any entities in which they have an ownership interest, make up an offer on any real property without disclosing to the seller that they are a licensed real estate person, or to the buyer if they are selling their own home. So they're real clear that we need to let everybody know going in that if we are selling our own house, for example, everybody involved in the transaction needs to know that we are a licensed real estate person. Or if we are buying a house, we need to say, I am a licensed real estate person. I am buying this house. Make sure everybody knows that. And the reason they did that, I think, is because there was the perception, whether it was reality or not, but the perception that realtors were scarfing up the good listings as they came across their desks and not telling people that they were buying it as a realtor and presumably had an unfair advantage in the process. So that's why they came up, I think, with that rule.
These are industry ethics, industry-wide?
These are Association of Realtor ethics. So yes, presumably anybody who calls themselves a realtor adheres to these to the best of their ability.
Sure. Yeah. How can someone have you be their real estate agent?
I would love to have them call me to be their real estate agent. It's a fun thing to do. I really enjoy it. They can call me at 490-4493, or they can stop by and see me at the office over on the corner of 3rd and Railroad, right behind the clock tower at John L. Scott. If I don't happen to be there, everybody there knows how to get a hold of me. So we can make arrangements. I'm not always there, just so folks know.
Well, you're out showing houses.
I'm out showing houses, hopefully, yes. And so if you just stop in, I may not be there, but I would be more than happy to make an appointment with you. And if I'm there, great. I'll talk to you, and we can go out and take a look at some houses.
Very cool. So we'll see you in 2 weeks, and we'll talk more about this process.
We will do that indeed, yes.
I like it. 8:58 on Pinnell, Radio Real Estate, riveting as always here on iFIBER ONE News Radio. Coming up on 9 o'clock, Tom Hartman's on his way. We'll take a quick break and be back after this.
listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
It's not Gen Xers, millennials, or even baby boomers. An update on America's fastest growing demographic today from the Old Farmer's Almanac. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac radio report for Friday, April 22nd, the 113th day of the year. Musician Peter Frampton has a birthday, and April's full pink moon shines tonight. Here's an update on America's fastest growing demographic population. The most current count of centenarians, or people over 100, now numbers over 72,000. That's an increase of more than 40% since the year 2000. When you consider that 50 was the average life expectancy only a century ago, you can see why researchers are using the term wow factor. Vaccines, antibiotics, and improved hygiene are given much of the credit. If there's a troubling note on the centenarian explosion, it's the huge gender gap. Women accounted for 80% of the group's recent growth. That's the Old Farmer's Almanac radio report. Learn more at almanac.com.
iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It's 8:59 here on Earth Day, and we hope you have a great rest of your day and the weekend, and kind of looking at a wetter weekend than we've had this week.
Yeah, a little wetter, but there'll be sun breaks throughout the day, but it might be a little breezy tomorrow afternoon, but nothing that you can't get outside.
All
Still
right.
can get outside.
Sounds good. Enjoy all the activities. The Traveler 5K run walk tomorrow, the opening day for Youth Baseball, Earth Walk, and the procession.
Okay. Happy Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Alex Jones and InfoWars on from 6 to 9 weekdays on iFIBER One News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 103.3 KMAS Shelton.
Here's the latest from ABC.